Due to capricious equipment and compounding exhaustion, we failed to notice the audio for the following episode was being captured on laptop microphones instead of our regular podcast mics. We apologise for the resulting dip in audio quality and assure you that future episodes will feature better sound. Hello and welcome to the 43rd episode of the Funfiltered podcast. I'm Sam. I'm Jordan.
Yeah.
And I'm joined as ever by Sam.
Hello.
Shall we explain where we're at the moment?
Yes, so the context would be helpful.
Okay. Do you want to do that?
Fine. Okay. Passing the buck already.
Oh, yeah.
Well, today Jordan and I had to do something, which is unusual for us.
Yes.
We had to leave in the early morning for us.
Yeah.
And help a friend move house. Unexpectedly, we thought we were just ferrying things into a van, and we ended up having to carry a fridge up 3 flights of stairs.
Oh, yeah, when you say move house,
yeah.
Well, we may as well have moved the entire house.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that we were,
fridge, washing machine, all that.
Yeah.
And we're not used to that.
A washing machine, I'll point out, that he didn't even need.
No, but there's something wrong with the washing machine that was there already, or it was not.
No, I think the washing machine is fine, because isn't he going to sell?
Oh, he's selling the one he took with him.
He's selling the one he took with him. So he made us move the fucking washing machine.
Yeah, just to stash it.
Out of his house, into a van, drove it across the city, took it out of the van, wheeled it into his flat.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm not even keeping it.
Yeah, that was annoying. So Jordan almost had a heart attack.
It wasn't that bad.
It was.
It wasn't that bad. We were carrying a sofa.
A very light sofa.
We were carrying a 3-person sofa.
Come on.
Up 4 flights of stairs.
3 flights of stairs.
And 3 flights of stairs. And I said to him, just need a minute.
Yeah, as you clutched your chest.
It wasn't a clutch. I was checking my heart rate.
Because it was racing that quickly.
Well, point is, I said to you though, I feel like under most circumstances, if someone was carrying a sofa up 3 flights of stairs,
they would be a bit out of breath and sweaty.
Yeah.
I
was certainly out of breath and I was certainly sweaty.
As was I.
Yes.
So we had to do that, and then we were just generally unpacking his house, setting up his appliances and whatnot. And then we had decided that today we were going to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes. We decided that a couple of days ago.
We did.
The house moving thing was sprung on us.
It was sprung on us, but I thought if we timed it right, it could be a very fulfilling day, I suppose. When we reached the end of it, it would feel like an accomplishment.
Yes.
Help a friend move, watch Justice League, and then do a podcast. Maybe even unwind afterwards, But
well, I'm certainly going to sleep tonight.
As am I.
Maybe all the way through tomorrow and tomorrow night as well.
And I think the most exhausting thing about today was not the move.
No.
But
add an I in that word somewhere.
What?
Add an I in that word somewhere.
What in what word?
Move.
Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also Moiv.
The Moiv.
I move. The movie. But we'll get to that.
Yes.
So we just watched Zack Snyder's Justice League. We finished about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Took 20 minutes to collect ourselves.
I was going to say, most of that 20 minutes was us just laying on the sofa, staring at the ceiling, going, oh my God. How are we going to do this podcast?
And that's the thing. I don't want us to come across as some kind of affect or that we're playing along and this is genuine. I remember that took it out of us.
I remember, because the only other time I think we've done this where we've watched the film and gone straight into recording is Cats, right?
Yes.
Which was episode 12, so it was ages ago,
A similar-ish experience, but at least it was shorter.
Yeah.
And we were more awake.
Yes. And because you and I watch bad films on occasion. Yeah. Most of our time together now is just watching stuff.
Yes.
So we're accustomed to it. But because Eddie was with us at the time as well, it felt more like a laugh. A laugh, it was like a bad movie night with your mates. Whereas this is what we do. So we were just sitting there, having to get through it.
Yeah.
And also Eddie really doesn't take well to bad films.
No, he's offended by them.
He's genuinely offended.
But we're all offended by bad films, but he kind of shuts down and will just disengage. Because
that's part of the experience, isn't it, of a bad film?
You've got to lock in.
Not just that you lock in, but that you talk about it with your mates
You
as you're
take a
watching
piss,
it. You make fun of it, and you talk like, that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. So you've got something to do while the film is on.
Yeah.
But Eddie can't even do that, I think, because he's so irritated by it.
He just zones out completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have a sense of humour about it even.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I've complained about before, haven't I, with like American comedies, where they do the thing. Is it gag reflex? Is that the name we assign to it?
Yeah, the gag reflex.
Yeah, where they explain the joke to you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's what bad movie nights are for.
Right.
That's what we do. We like dissect the joke with each other.
It's kind of an intellectual exercise, isn't it? I mean, it's a low kind of intellectual exercise.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It is. I mean, dumb people don't enjoy bad films in that way.
No.
They enjoy them, they take them at face value.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the fun, is you kind of...
Yeah.
Is the shared understanding of what doesn't work about a thing.
Yeah. So you may think that you're like being clever, or that you're mining more comedic value out of your joke.
Yeah.
But all you've done is taken away the space that I would usually occupy.
Yeah.
You're now occupying that space.
Yeah.
So as an audience member, you've left nothing for me to do.
Right.
But yeah, that was a tangent.
Yeah.
The point was Eddie,
Eddie can't do it.
No.
Yeah, so the two of us did it, and this is not, we're not being hyperbolic.
No.
It frazzled us.
Yes.
It fried our brains.
Yeah.
Like, you made me watch Transformers...
The last night.
And I felt physically ill watching that.
Yeah.
And again, not exaggerating.
You didn't even watch the last half hour of that film.
I had to walk out the room because I was feeling like roller coaster sick.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel that with Justice League, but I did feel... Should we get to it later?
That's the thing. We're not talking about Justice League now. It's going to be the final topic on our podcast.
Yeah.
But because it's an experience we've just had.
Yeah, you need to understand.
Yeah, we could not give you the context of coming straight off the back of Justice League. And it might have already given away what we think of the film.
Probably didn't love it, do we?
I guess you'll just have to wait.
Yes.
Or skip ahead. But you'll just have to wait to see what we thought of the film.
Yeah.
But what else are we talking about on the podcast, Sam?
Are we doing the coming up?
We're doing the coming up.
Okay. Well, don't we usually do that at the end?
Yeah, I know, but I'm cutting it. Don't throw me off like that.
I'm messing with you.
No.
Okay, alright. Coming up.
A review of Saint Maud.
Some news about Meghan Markle.
A review of I Care a Lot.
The murder of Sarah Everard and the fallout.
The Grammys.
And a review of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's a bit of a spoiler.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
We're going to do 3 movie reviews today.
We are.
So should we start with a movie review?
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. Should we start with Saint Maud?
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
This is a 2020 film.
Tis?
For most people, right? It's not like it came out 20 in some countries.
No, I think 2020 is pretty universal.
Yeah, 2019 it was coming out in festivals, but the general rule I know we have different rules for film schedulings, but my general rule is the first country in which it becomes commercially available.
Theatrically
released or commercially available.
Yeah.
I take that as the year that it was released in.
Yes.
So even though Parasite is a 2021 movie for you...
2020.
Oh, it's a 2020 movie for you. The fact that it came out...
It's a 2019 film.
Yeah, it's a 2019 film.
Yeah.
You go off UK release dates.
For my awards, that's not how I broadly consider...
Okay.
Like I go, like Back to the Future for me is 85. The Godfather 72. It doesn't matter when they came out.
Right, okay.
Just for my own awards, that is,
Okay, all right.
But yes, so it's a 2020 film directed by Rose Glass.
Yes, has she done things?
I have no idea. I've never heard of her before.
Okay. I heard the name and I was like, I think I know that name. But I think I looked her up and she's not an actor. I thought initially she was an actor who turned writer-director.
Okay.
And she's always been a writer-director.
Yeah. Is this her debut feature?
No, she's done... Oh, maybe debut feature. She's done films before.
Okay.
She's got previous film credits, but not many.
Okay.
I'm willing to believe that Saint Maud is a debut feature. It has that
kind
of energy to
if
it.
it's not, it's her proper debut feature.
Yeah.
It's the I've Arrived film.
Yeah. I mean, it sort of occupies a similar space to me as Relic does, which is a film we reviewed earlier on in the podcast's lifespan. Don't know specifically which episode.
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe...
Well, it would have been late last year.
Yeah, maybe it was Eddie's final episode? Episode 38.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're both horror movies. There's a parallel there. If this is indeed her debut feature, there's a parallel there because I think Relic was the debut feature of a female director as well.
I believe so, yeah.
And they're both horror movies, but they're both
they're high-end horror films.
Yeah, they're not like
they're artsy horror films.
Artsy horror. They're not stereotypical horror films. They're not a horror film in the same vein as Insidious.
The kind that broadly would sneer at a jump scare.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's not jumpy horror and it's not gory horror. It's sort of
psychological horror,
I suppose. Yeah. I watched the trailer for it, and I think I said to you, like, oh, it puts me a bit in mind of First Reformed.
Yeah.
Because she's not a religious figure.
No.
Because obviously First Reformed is the Ethan Hawke film where he plays a priest who's doubting his faith, and that leads to...
a kind of unravelling sanity.
His sanity unravels over the course of the film. And it's similar in that respect, where it's like someone who's... immersed herself in religion.
Well, both kind of in different ways deal with religious extremism, right?
Yeah.
So religious ecstasy and religious kind of self-loathing.
Yes.
Like martyrdom and ultimately both are about martyrdom, aren't they?
Both are about martyrdom.
Misguided martyrdom.
Martyrdom. Yes. In a way, I was actually like when I was watching, I was like, oh, it's actually a bit more like Black Swan. I think.
Yeah, I can see the connection there.
Yeah, it feels a lot more like Black Swan. If you've seen that, I guess it's sort of in that vein, horror-wise as well. It's kind of in that.
In some ways, not aesthetically or really in the content or anything like. But it's sort of like, for me, it could be the female taxi driver.
Okay.
In the, like I said, worlds of differences between them.
Yeah.
But about that person, there's an element of religion in Taxi Driver, like I am God's lonely man, and feels he has like a quest to do this thing.
Yeah.
And a similar sort of thing of like this lonely kind of social outcast leading a very unhealthy, disconnected life.
Yeah.
Kind of spiraling into themselves sort of thing. So I think there's definitely a connection.
Yeah. Was that image of her looking into the pint glass and it was turning into a vortex, was that supposed to be a kind
I suppose so.
A statement of intent almost on this is what we're
doing?
What's that word for the like snail spiral, like a spiral that goes in on itself?
Nautilus.
Like a nautilus.
Yeah,
It's not quite a nautilus shape, but that idea, which is a spiral that keeps going.
It's going in. Or we were going to do a horror film called Nautilus based on that idea.
Yeah, pretty much, which is pretty much that. It's a woman in isolation mostly, just falling into insanity.
More and more claustrophobic as the thing goes on.
And there's an element of religion in that as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting her praying to God to make her come.
Why not?
I don't know. Like that. Okay, so like, yes, it's a film about a woman who's she's recently converted to Catholicism. It's specifically Catholicism, right? Or just vague Christianity.
Yeah. There's not as devout as a convert.
Yes. Because of a recent tragedy in her life, which is literally the opening shot of the film, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler. No, she is a nurse in a hospital who fails to save a patient.
Yeah.
And that trauma causes her to leave her job, and her life kind of starts to spiral a little bit.
Yeah.
So she ends up in private care, where she's looking after a woman who has stage 4... It's not leukemia, is it?
It's cancer, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's like a cancer... cancer type.
Cancer adjacent.
Cancer adjacent affliction.
Yeah.
Quite late into it as well, but she used to be a dancer.
It's palliative care.
Yeah, palliative care, and she used to be a dancer, and she's fallen from grace.
Kind of like a performance artist, makes videos and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. What's the line? She says something like, I usually don't bother with artists. They're too...
self-obsessed.
Which is sort of ironic.
Yes.
Given what happens.
I always think that. Whenever I see in a film a character say something like that, writer's narcissistic, I get offended and then think... But I'm watching a film.
Yeah.
Then every time it gets me for a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so the whole film, like, events are happening that are throwing her further and further into her own insanity and causing her to embrace her religion more and more.
Yeah.
But to an unhealthy extent.
Well, she sort of becomes obsessed with saving the woman she's looking after.
Yeah, that's sort of... She says that's like... She's like, oh, I understand now, God.
Why I'm here.
I'm here. It's to save this woman specifically.
Yeah.
So I thought... And I don't know whether you thought this as well. I thought, oh, that's going to be the film. It's going to be the two of them in that house.
Right.
And she is going to be taking more and more extreme measures to quote-unquote save this woman.
Yeah.
And they end up going to be coming... they're either going to... Like, it's going to be like a fight. It's not a physical fight, but like a fight between them.
Some level of, like, psychological symbiosis.
Yeah.
They become codependent. Or a film like Bug, which is a Winnie Freakin film. Something like that. Or... Obviously, it references Sunset Boulevard briefly because Fran says to her, you're starting to be a bit like Norma Desmond.
Yeah.
But yeah, like claustrophobic, misery, maybe even, like that sort of thing.
Yeah, kind of, that sort of idea.
Yeah.
And then about halfway through, it goes off in a different direction to what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So it's not... And I think I saw an interview with Rose Glass where she said that was the original idea for the film. It was going to be completely in that house, and a bit like Misery. She was going to end up like keeping her hostage,
like severing her connection to the outside world,
like torturing her,
telling her lover, you maybe shouldn't come around anymore. Yeah. Again, like Taxi Driver, like one by one is channels to the outside world.
Yes, exactly. But then she said, like, I ended up not liking Maud, the main character.
I'm glad they didn't go that way, because I think it would feel too artificial. Too much of an artifice.
Yes.
I'm glad they let it breathe and go where it needs to go.
And it sort of went off in different directions to the point where you're like, I really don't know. Like, obviously this is going to tie back to that woman somehow.
Yeah.
But I've no idea where this is going now.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Well, yes, I liked it a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my favourite films of last year, definitely. Okay. Great pair of performances. So it's Margaret Clark plays Maud.
Yes.
And I finally learned how to pronounce her name. It's Jennifer Ely. Okay. I also was Ale or Ale. It's a weird name. Jennifer Ely.
Yeah.
Great. Those two are great together.
Yeah.
We talked about its aesthetic. I love that. I like the gaping face thing that it does.
Yeah. Okay. Her coming. Like, I think this is a point that I was going to make, and then because we just watched Justice League, I couldn't remember because my brain can't retain information at the moment. But yeah. So the film is like her falling further and further into insanity, and you can tell that each event, like everything that she does, she is karmically punished for it.
Yeah.
Or seemingly karmically punished for it.
Yeah.
And that punishment causes her to do a more extreme thing, which leads to a more extreme punishment, which leads to a more extreme action, and further and further. So everything leads into the next thing.
Well, it's kind of like a reductio ad absurdum of kind of like religious, kind of being a devout, kind of religionist in the sense of, I'm not proving myself to you, you're still punishing me. Right, I will put glass in my shoes and do all that sort of stuff. You know, like what I think she says at one point: if you treat your followers like this, like God help.
Those people who don't believe
in you.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that was making sense. Like she was doing crazier and crazier stuff, but looking at it from the perspective of the last thing didn't pan out for her, so now she's taking more extreme measures, which are leading to more extreme punishments.
Yes,
there was nothing that was like jarring for me.
No.
But her coming, like her having orgasms after she's prayed, because that's kind of the first weird thing that happens, right?
When she goes to the top of the staircase.
Yeah, when she's like walking up the stairs, and as she's walking up the stairs, she's climaxing. Yeah. That was like, oh, okay.
Well, that's religious ecstasy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever see like those kind of Southern Baptist or kind of Black Baptist churches where they're doing the speaking in tongues and everything. Yeah. There is an element of that. Okay. Like clearly there is an element of sexual gratification. Like the catharsis via the Lord. Yeah. I mean, you would feel that, wouldn't you? I mean, if they think they are kind of engaging with the highest power in the universe, you would feel, you'd feel better than a climax.
Yeah.
You know? So I guess I just didn't find it that surprising, that whole element.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was surprising I'm not saying that as a negative.
No.
I'm not saying, that element didn't work. I mean, that's obviously the film's way of saying
it was the first thing that punched you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, she was fucked up before this.
Yes.
And then, there's the moment where she's doing the dishes and she is having an orgasm.
Yeah.
And the camera, like, zooms in on her face. And her eyes open and her mouth opens, but like too far.
Well, that's the thing.
Way too far. Yeah.
Just a bit too far.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not like this massive grotesque thing.
Yeah,
it's just like uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Did I see that?
Yeah.
It's really fleeting. I actually played it after I first saw it. I played it at half speed, and even at half speed, it's like that.
Yeah,
they really don't linger on it.
Yeah.
You know? I love that little touch. Things like that I love.
It's like, okay, this is, you're starting to fuck with me already.
This is going somewhere. Yeah. We hear God speak to her at one point.
Do you know what that because at one point...
I know what it reminded you of.
Yeah, at one point, like I said, I've already made the Black Swan comparison. Yeah. But there was a moment in the film where I was like, this feels a bit like The Witch as well. Yeah. Bits of it feel like The Witch. And at that moment, God starts speaking to her, which is just a parallel of the Black Phillip scene.
Well, to me. Welsh does sound like a language God speaks, I'll be honest.
Yeah, was he speaking Welsh?
He was speaking Welsh,
because she speaks Welsh at the end.
Yeah, he was speaking Welsh to her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like...
Because there's a and that, it does sound like Hebrew or Aramaic or something, so it kind of, there's a nice overlap.
But yeah, like, she's Welsh.
Marvith Clark, yeah.
Marvith Clark, she's Welsh. And God is Welsh.
And she speaks in her natural accent.
Which is
always a bit weird for me at first.
Initially, I didn't catch it.
Okay.
It sounded... Because I think she's Swedish Welsh.
She is. I think she was raised in Wales. So she is Welsh, but it's not Valleys. It's just a bit South Wales, but not too bad, yeah.
So I didn't catch it immediately, but when I did...
Yeah.
I was locked into it then.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird. There's something about... Like, this is a great performance.
It is.
She's been in other stuff before.
Yeah.
Not that I remember.
This is kind of a star-making turn.
Yeah. Like, this is a great performance. And again,
yeah.
like, another parallel with the Witch. Like, you see Anya Taylor-Joy in The Witch.
Yeah.
Who is another woman who's attractive but strange-looking.
Yeah.
A bit like Morwith Clark. And it's sort of almost a similar quality where their eyes are kind of... There's something
big
about their eyes which is uncanny.
Yes.
But they're still attractive women.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, just like her... I don't know what the point is.
Well, I mean, I like that sort of Nightcrawlery, just behaving weird in public stuff. Or like in Taxi Driver, like, where Taxi Driver really, for its reputation, it's incredibly low-key. For playing, like, you know, one of cinema's most notorious psychopaths.
Yeah.
There's zero overacting. Everything's so muted.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what makes it so terrifying. It's like when he takes Sybil Shepherd to see a porn movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay.
I think one of the reasons people remember the "Are you talking to me?" scene from Taxi Driver is because it's one of the very, very few times that his craziness is made apparent.
Yes,
isn't it?
Right.
Because it's such a muted performance.
Yeah. I like a Nightcrawler when he goes on the date with Rene Russo and he just behaves a bit weirdly, or like ironing in his apartment and laughing to the news and then looking to laugh at someone who's not there. And I love it. So like when she was going out for the drink and they're kind of just laughing at the next table to try and get involved. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that can be overdone, a la Joaquin Phoenix in Joker.
Yes.
But I thought it was done really well in this.
Yeah, it was done very well. I really want to remember the point I was going to make about it.
I'll let you think.
Okay. We're obviously going to cut the thinking.
We are.
Unless you're willing to stick around, audience, for me thinking.
I got a feeling there are going to be a few thinking cuts.
There might very well be. I really don't know.
Eyes.
It was tying into Anya Taylor-Joy.
Eyes. They're both... The scene where she's talking to God, it was the Black Phillip scene.
Yeah.
They both have eyes that are like a bit too big, but they're still attractive.
Yeah.
She's Welsh.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad performance by any stretch of the imagination. It's a really good performance. It missed out on my best performances of the year because lead performance-wise, this was a pretty decent year.
It was pretty strong, yeah.
So in a weaker year, she would definitely be nominated.
Well, she cracked mine.
Yeah, she cracked yours. But for me, she was just she was maybe like 6th or 7th.
Okay.
7th. I think she was 7th.
Okay.
And obviously we're only allowing ourselves 5 because you have to stop at some point, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, there's something about hearing a Welsh person in any context which is like, I can't take you seriously.
I know.
It's like when you see your hometown on television and it doesn't feel real.
That's Bowlplex.
Yeah, and Gavin and Stacey. Like, well then obviously not in Essex, that's where I go bowling.
Yeah.
Or for me, when I went to New York, it was sort of the opposite effect. Because New York is so committed to film at this point.
Well, also you saw the films first.
I saw the films first. So when I went to New York, I was like, oh my god, they actually have yellow taxis.
Right.
The buildings are actually that tall. The Empire State is actually a real place.
It wasn't a myth.
Yeah, kind of like that. It's just sort of like there's a weird. I can't invest in it.
Well, because New York in its entirety is iconography, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's iconic.
Yeah, every aspect of New York.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's a great performance, but the fact as soon as I figured out she was Welsh, just like, okay, I'm out of it.
Really?
Not out of it in a bad way, just like, oh, you're Welsh.
You became conscious of it. Yeah. It never detracted. Her name's Morvith, so I guess I knew she was Welsh going into it. But it's not set in Wales, is it?
No, it's Coney Island. Is that the name of the arcade she goes past a couple of times?
Coney Island. That's New York.
Oh, maybe it's not Coney Island. Maybe that's just the name of the
It's
arcade.
a seaside town, isn't it? I think an English seaside town.
Yes.
But it doesn't really matter.
No.
It's every British seaside town.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on it?
Oh, okay. I don't know. Justice League has just completely warped my sense of time. I was like, we've only just started this review, but I guess we'll be talking about it a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, it was a quick review, I guess. That was the idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's... in a similar vein to Relic, there's kind of not a lot to talk about.
No.
It's got an incredibly small cast. She's basically in every shot of the film, more with Clark, and there are so few side characters that they're barely a presence at all. Even the woman that she's sharing the house with. Yeah. She, after a while, she kind of disappears, and it is just her falling into insanity. It really commits to it.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Okay. When I started watching this film, I went in with the mindset of, this is going to be a bit of a chore.
Okay.
Because I didn't know much going in. Obviously, you recommended the film to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, you were like, this is a horror film, and it's bleak.
Yeah.
And the ending is like, fuck. It's like depressing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, I don't have to sit. I've already seen Relic this year. One a year. That's all I should have to tolerate.
It's not as miserable as Relic.
No, it's certainly not as miserable as Relic. And even though I was recognizing the quality of the film, and I was sort of with it. I was like, I'm understanding this. I'm following it. There was a part of me that was like, I'll be happy when it's over, though.
Okay, right.
I understand this is a good film, but it's not my type of film.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna give it a negative review because I don't like it, but also like when I'm done with this, I'm done with this.
Okay.
And then that final cut in the film completely won me over.
It didn't win me over, right? Because I liked it. It is a bit more my type of film than yours, maybe, and I was generally with it, and it was kind of the film that had probably the most positive reception that it took the longest for me to see. So I was kind of waiting to see that film for a long time, and it was basically the last film of the year that I wanted to see. So I had high expectations, and usually that means a bad thing, but they were met. And but yes, that final cut,
which I'm not going to spoil.
Okay, yeah, fine.
I don't want to spoil it.
We won't spoil it.
Yeah.
Can we say what it achieves, if not what it is?
What do you mean by that?
Okay, well, the film is obviously presented through her perception of reality.
Yes, when she falls further into insanity, the film starts to warp around her.
Yeah, the film is her mindset, essentially.
Yeah.
And the final cut breaks that and casts you and her into reality. And it's half a second. It's like, that's it. Yeah.
Yes. It might be one of the best pieces of editing this year.
Yeah, it's kind of...
if you were going to teach... If you teach a course on editing, you use that edit as like this is what you can achieve.
Yeah.
It's, again, the amount of implication that one cut carries. And it's such, a powerful storytelling beat.
Yeah.
And it's all achieved through editing.
I'll tell you what. I think the impulse as an artiste, if you're making a film like that, is you never break that form. Yeah. You stick to the character's mentality.
If the idea is that this film is viewed through the mind of the character, you stick with that.
And then we can infer what's going on, right? Yeah. And I love how kind of gauche it is almost. They go, no, we're going to show you reality for a second. Yeah. It's almost like cynical, right? But really nicely cynical. It's kind of casting judgment on the character in a way. Kind of. Not judgment, but fuck that. This is what's real.
It's a nasty ending.
It's nasty,
It's a really nasty ending, but I don't know if it's nasty...
But
I'm trying to think...
It's not nasty to the audience. It's bizarre. It's a really interesting kind of thing going on there. Yeah. Like any other film that had the preceding 80 minutes would not have ended like that.
No, it wouldn't.
They would have stayed with even I would go, you can't do that. We were committed to an idea here. Yeah. And it just goes, fuck that, we're just going to drop that now. Yeah. And it pushes it for me from an 8 to a 9 out of 10 sort of thing.
And it's shocking, but it's not done for shock value.
It's shocking, but also you know that's what's really happening. Yeah. So when it actually shows you go, oh my god.
Yeah, I can't think of a better ending.
No, that is the ending.
It's the perfect ending to the film. Yeah. And I think that...
Well, I say that it breaks the form of her perception. That might be... It probably is what's happening, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
For her as well as for the audience.
Yes, that experience, even though it's breaking the rule, if you will, that the film has set up.
It probably snaps her out of it.
It's also sticking to it.
Yeah, if anything's going to snap her out of it.
Yeah, it's that, yeah. Yeah, I don't want to build it up too much.
No, but it's bloody good.
Yeah, it is very, very good. And I mean, the film before it is worth it.
Yes.
I think I'm always cautious, right? Because like I saw this film yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm still relatively fresh off the heels of it. I have no idea if this is the type of film I'm going to remember like 2-3 years from now. At the moment, like Saint Maud is sort of becoming like, if I was going to talk about that type of horror film, like a psychological horror, but framed as like a horror film.
Yeah.
Not psychological horror, where it's kind of like thrillery.
Yeah.
No, it's a horror film about someone falling into their own insanity.
Yeah.
Saint Maud at the moment, that's sort of my
your default example. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Time will tell if it stays there.
Yeah. But it's become prototypical to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I want
Definitive.
if I wanted to describe that type of film, that is the film that I refer to.
It's like, is it when you saw Shazam, you said that it seems like what a superhero movie is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if it's nothing in Shazam is
groundbreaking
or particularly
ingenious.
That moment sticks out. I will remember that moment. But if you just like were to dissect it on the table, it's like, no, this is like, it moves like a superhero film. It's sort of the culmination. It's not when I say it's the culmination of all the superhero films we've been doing up until this point. It's not like, oh, everything has been built.
It's not the best. Yeah.
It's just like, this is in Shazam. It's like the industry was saying, here's everything we've learned. Yeah,
right. Here's our graduate thesis.
Yeah. It's sort of, if they were to kind of teach superhero films, you wouldn't use it as like this is a groundbreaking example. You would use this to teach the basics.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of what I meant when I said Shazam film.
Well, it's, I saw, and there are indeed hundreds of biopics preceding The Social Network, but The Social Network is my prototypical biopic.
Yeah.
That's
a hell of a thing to use as a blueprint, though, isn't it?
I know, and that's why
I don't know how you can build on The Social Network.
That's very true.
Because I guess ideally, your blueprint for anything is something that you could build upon, right? It's not here are the basics. It's here is a very good example.
Yeah.
So you can like take this element away, or you can add this element in.
Yeah.
Play around with it. But here's an example of a good thing.
Well, I suppose the reason it's sort of my prototype is because of how it evolved the form, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of counterintuitive. But the reason I always use The Social Network as a comparison is because of its relationship with truth. So it depicts every character's perspective of what happened rather than just one.
Yeah.
And the whole framework is some people lie, there's exaggeration, there's...
Yeah.
And if you're doing a biopic with loads of different sources, giving competing versions of history, I think that's a very noble way of doing it. I'm just going to show you everyone's.
Yeah.
I'm not picking a side.
Yeah, exactly.
So even though most don't do that, that's kind of why it's the, the one I think everyone should aspire to.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. Saint Maud. It, two things are going to stay with me.
Okay.
That final shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the jump scare, the one jump scare that's
I was just about to bring it up. Like, in terms of...
Fucking got me, it did.
In terms of my recommendation, like, this is not a horror film. If you want to be scared by a horror film, this is not a recommendation. But if you want a horror film that's kind of deeply unsettling,
that's going to definitely
soak into
you. Yeah.
However,
there is one.
You told me prior to the film there is one moment that scared the shit out of me. I'm going to say I know exactly which moment you mean.
That was easy.
Yes.
Yeah. So we just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Okay. That was easy. We'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watch it. We recommend it.
Yeah, I recommend it. And that's coming from someone who typically doesn't like these type of films. Yeah. Typically dreads watching these films.
Yes.
Because I know that even if the film has done its job, I'll come away in a bad mood.
With dread.
Yeah, with dread, yeah. But no, Saint Maud is a fine example.
It is.
A decent way of rounding out 2020. Because that was the last film I saw of 2020.
Yeah.
I'm sure as like time goes on, I'll find films that I missed.
Yeah.
But in terms of like committing to watching films from that year, Saint Maud was the last one.
Okay.
And it was a pretty decent way of ending out the year.
It's short as well. It's hour 24. In, out, no faff.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Let's move on.
Oh, okay.
Do you have anything else to say about it, or?
No, I feel like if we stay on it much longer, we'll end up spoiling stuff.
Okay.
And I don't want to.
Yeah, okay.
The film doesn't benefit from...
no, it's too short. There's no point. Yeah. Watch it.
Yeah.
So we briefly talk about Meghan Markle again.
Oh, what's she done now?
So there are rumblings that she may be running for president.
I mean, why not?
I mean, it's no surprise to me.
No, I mean, who we got now? Kanye West is running. Donald Trump wants to run again. Why not throw Meghan Markle?
Michelle Obama, is that still a thing?
Yeah, that's been in the ring for a while, isn't it? I think basically since Barack Obama's been out of office.
Dwayne Johnson is now doing a show called Young Rock, that's kind of like an Everybody Hates Chris that shows his upbringing.
Right.
But the whole kind of framework for the show is that he's, I think, either president or running for president.
Okay.
And Randall Park is interviewing him on his backstory.
Right.
And so that's the framework of the show. So he's in every episode, kind of giving a little bit of context. So I don't know whether that's his statement that he's going to run for president. I'd be behind Dwayne Johnson for president.
I don't know, like, canonically on this podcast, I've talked about how I'm growing increasingly distrusting of him.
I know.
Because of how clean his image is.
Constantly
I know clean his image is, to the point where he hasn't even played a villain yet.
But
I mean, post WWE career. Because obviously Scorpion King, he was a villain.
But I gotta say, I think, and this is kind of goes against my instinct to dislike jocks and lads, but I think people like that, on the whole, tend to be good men because of that self-determination and I'm going to work out and like a whole kind of personality comes with that. And they can be douches. Or they can just be like, I've got my life in control, so I'm going to be nice to everybody, you know? I don't think he's got any skeletons in his closet. I'm not saying he's been perfect.
No.
But I don't think anything genuine is going to come out about him.
I mean, of all the like celebrities, it's like, I'm going to run for president, Yeah, he's the one that I'd be the most happy with, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know what he would be able to achieve in office, but just for the image. The image of The Rock being the president. That's like a decent...
Well, anything's possible now.
I know anything's possible. And that's like, you know, Donald Trump is bad because of this. Donald Trump is bad because of that. He's opened the door now.
He broke the seal,
Genuinely.
Yeah.
I've always said that, like, one thing I'll never take away from Donald Trump is that he feels like the first president, certainly within our lifetime, at least that I remember, he feels like the first president that has delivered on the promise that any American can become president.
Well... Any rich American can become president.
Even then, though, like, he's had no history in politics. Like, I know that, like, I'm sure within America, any American can become president is usually framed as like, if you're black, you can become president. If you're a woman, you can become president.
Well, like I guess. Well, you're not born into royalty, essentially. No, so you can come from any background.
Yeah, any demographic. Like, it doesn't matter that you live in the slums, or you live in the hoods, or you live, in poverty. You could become president.
If you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you can achieve the American dream.
And on the face of it, Donald Trump being a very rich man who has enough money to basically do whatever he wants doesn't seem like an achievement that he became president.
No.
But he had no history in politics, really, that we know of.
None in politics.
None in politics. He was hated. Like, everyone that hated Donald Trump was very, very vocal about it.
They were.
If you were just following... the media generally, you'd think that nobody liked Donald Trump, and the people who do like Donald Trump were like vilified constantly. Like, every policy that Donald Trump put forward was vilified. Every action he did was vilified. All of his good achievements. Like, he was nominated. He didn't end up going.
He didn't win it. No.
Didn't win it, but he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for brokering a peace treaty in the Middle East. No word on that, as far as I could tell.
No,
never heard of that. But we hear about out of context statements that, and stuff like that.
It's that, before we come back to the Meghan Markle thing, like I said that about her on the last episode, it's the way that that mind thinks is either you're right all the time or you're wrong all the time.
Yes.
So they decided he was wrong, so he could never be right.
He could never be
Especially after you spent, like, in this campaign calling him a Nazi the whole time. What, you're going to credit a Nazi with being right about something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if you look at it from that perspective, which is the perspective I was looking at it from, is that, like, everything was stacked against him.
In that way, yeah.
In terms of, his reception and, stuff like that. Like, there's no way that man should have been president.
No.
Anyone who said Donald Trump will become president was laughed out of the room.
To a certainty. That's the thing. Obama, like, the politicians, they tread so lightly around making any assertive statements.
Yes.
But he went on, was it Kimmel or whatever, and did that read the tweet thing? At least I'll be president.
At least I'll be president.
That shows you how certain everybody was never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
And it's exactly that made him president.
Yeah. Exactly. So for me, I'm sure historically there have been presidents that have kind of...
Yeah, well...
It was like as great achievement that they became president.
Yes.
But certainly within my lifetime, it feels like Donald Trump is the first person that has delivered on that promise.
Yeah.
And now that he has become president, Kanye West becoming president, Meghan Markle becoming president, Dwayne Johnson becoming president.
Yeah.
They all feel plausible now.
You just need money. That's the only thing. You need your own money, because if you're crazy, then the establishment is not going to support you.
Yeah.
But as long as you've got your own capital, yes, you have a legitimate shot at the presidency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So...
Well,
you have...
It depends.
Yeah.
Like...
At the end of the day, you need to run for Democrats or Republicans. You can't run independently.
Oh, no, of course. Yeah, you're always going to end up with one.
Yeah.
But I feel like, okay, there are... In terms of the left, right, so Dwayne Johnson running for Democrat and all, they would just keep that sort of person out generally, I think, because it kind of compromises the appearance of legitimacy of, we want career politicians. That's what we've always done.
Yeah.
But, they might get through. And people that are liberal and left-wing are right, ironically. So anyone is acceptable as well.
Yeah.
On the Republican side, it depends entirely on how nuts the left goes. They are directly proportional. However nutty the left is, that's however nutty your candidate can be for the Republican Party.
Okay.
However mad they are. And at the moment, you could ask David Duke to run for president and he might get in.
Right.
Because that's how fucking nuts the left has gone these days.
Yeah.
But, I know what you mean. Yeah, the kind of legitimately anyone could do it now.
Yeah, exactly. So if she announced in the next few days that, yes, I'm running for president.
Yeah.
Or I plan to run for president.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. The question becomes, does she even have a chance of winning?
Of winning? It depends who she'd run. I mean, you look.
Well, she's going to run for the Democrats, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
There's no way she'd run Republican.
Absolutely not.
No.
I mean, she uses terms like unconscious bias.
Yes.
Yeah, she's not running for the Republicans.
Although, it'd be interesting to see how she'd cope with running for the Republicans.
Yeah. No, that's not going to happen.
No, it's absolutely not going to happen.
But I said, didn't I? Like, that interview with Oprah, it was their calling card. It was their world, here we are, we're going to become entities.
Yes.
In your culture more.
Yeah.
Like, get ready for us. It's going to be Spotify, Netflix. There's going to be a biopic movie or miniseries about them on Netflix in the next couple of years. And then she's going to run for president. And she might get in.
Do we want that?
Do we want her to run for president?
Well, do we want her to be president?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's fodder for the podcast.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. God, no. Why would we want her as president?
No. Because in fairness, I think literally everything I know about her is what's come out during this Oprah interview.
Yeah.
Even when she was in the royal family, I knew nothing about her. I didn't even know she was mixed race.
No, not
That's how little I knew about her.
I know so very little about her.
Yeah. So I'm not going to pretend that it would be a bad thing if she came into office, because I wouldn't have the first idea what the point is.
All I know is my impression of her. And my impression of her is that she's sanctimonious and insincere. So she's actually in good company on the left. So
yeah.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to Harry, though? Would he even be allowed to...
First gentleman.
It would be that, but would he even be allowed to be in the White House?
Yeah, I mean, he's, that's a nothing. He is just the husband, isn't he?
Okay.
And, they tend to focus on philanthropic endeavours, don't they? They're kind of more emblems than anything else.
Which is what he was in the
and
royal
he does
family.
that anyway.
Yeah, that's
he's used
that's
to a
probably
life service.
I said during the whenever we talked about Meghan Markle, I think it was the previous episode, wasn't it?
Last episode.
That what else could Harry possibly do? Because his entire life he's been a member of the royal family. He's been an emblem.
Yeah.
That doesn't train you for anything in the real world.
No.
But being the first man.
Yeah.
First gentleman, I suppose.
Yeah, first gentleman, yeah.
First gentleman. That's probably the only job in America that he's trained to do, isn't it?
Yeah, so you public service for the royal family in the UK, start using words like unconscious bias and blaming race for everything, and you can become an American emblem.
Yeah.
It's a very easy transition over the Atlantic. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like them, I just don't like them. I don't like their vibe. But I thought it was worth adding to the pals because it's like, of course.
Okay.
I don't know how genuine this is, but...
Yeah, have these rumours come from her, or is there just rumourings online?
Murmurings.
Murmurings online.
Murmurings, yeah. So, but I'm not surprised.
Okay, alright.
Okay, I care a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Not about you.
Oh.
Should we review I Care a Lot?
Okay. This is the first film that I've seen from 2021.
Yeah.
And it's already a strong contender.
It's good, isn't it?
For best film of the year.
It's good, isn't it?
I loved this film.
I also loved it.
I really loved this film.
Do you know what? I'm so glad you liked it, because a small part of me thought, because I really liked it, and it struck me as the kind of film that you would really like.
Yeah.
And if you didn't like it, it would upset me. I go, oh,
because what do you want?
Yeah, kind of, because it's more I would say it's more your type of film than my film even.
Okay.
But a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit. But we'll go into it. But like the things that I like about it are because then they don't go too deep into those things.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So,
sorry for like giving it away straight away, audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the...
No, I had no idea. We've not discussed this at all. This is the first time hearing this.
Like that was one of the things that instantly stood out to me. Is it had like the scope of like a proper crime thriller.
Goodfellas. Or,
like a Goodfellas crime thriller. But it was also very streamlined.
Yeah.
It didn't dwell on details. Like when you told me the premise, because the premise of I Care a Lot is Rosamund Pike, who plays a Rosamund Dyke.
How long have you been sitting on that one?
Well, I had to do something while we were watching Justice League.
Nose up cunt Dyke.
Although that's not really relevant. This is a good example of a film where like the main character's gay and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's not at all a feature of her. Though I would say. We'll get to it, I suppose, but there's a little tiny bit of dialogue that might kind of quote-unquote explain why she prefers women.
Okay.
But I guess I can say that now.
Go for it.
She's talking to her girlfriend, played by, is it Eliza Gonzalez?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And she says that something like, do you know how many men in my life have threatened me? Do you know how many those have ever come to pass?
Yeah.
2. So it's like it alludes to this kind of, maybe she's been abused by an ex or something. So that, to me, might, like, again, explain, if you like, why I would say she's probably bisexual. A character like that, a shark who just does what she needs to do, probably is goes whatever way she
probably wouldn't see the merits in, like, sticking to
unigender, although, like, her relationship with Gonzalez is, like, the one uncynical part of her. That's, yeah. Like, that's a genuine relationship.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Carry on. Premise,
And sort of on top of that, we'll get like the representation thing out of the way quickly. The film is populated mostly by women or minorities.
Okay, yeah.
Like there's like a couple of white guys in the film, but it's mostly like women, or there's like, people of colour. Peter Dinklage is in this. That's its own thing.
He's a minority in it.
Okay, all right. And yet it doesn't matter. It's not preachy. There's no lesson being taught. In a way, it almost makes sense that this would be a female-led film.
Yeah.
Because of the field that they're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Like, in those circumstances, the film was presenting, a woman would actually
do better at that role.
She would do better at that role because people would trust her.
You reminded me of, I think it was Christopher Hitchens who said this when he was near the end with his battle with cancer. He said that he felt sorry for women more because it was kind of like a bastardized inversion of the idea of birth. Because cancer is a living thing inside you.
Yes.
He felt more sorry for women because they had the capacity for life.
Okay.
And they were just eating them. So similarly, a maternal caring instinct being warped.
Yeah.
It's more...
Yeah.
It resonates more if it's a woman, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So,
if it was a man care, you'd think, they exploit people.
Yeah, of course, But a woman doing it, it's almost nastier, isn't it?
Yeah.
It gives the film that nice edge to it.
Yeah.
Representation-wise, this is an example of it done right. Absolutely done right. But yeah, the Rosamund Pike plays Rosamund Dyke. And she...
I think her name was Marsha Grayson.
Her name is Marsha Grayson. They don't call her Rosamund Dyke in the film. And she plays a caregiver who exploits the people that she gives care to. She basically forces them to move into elderly care, whether they have relatives or not.
Yeah.
She forces them into elderly care.
She kind of there's like a little network, isn't there, of kind of fraudsters. A doctor will recommend their patients for care.
Yeah, so she'll move them into elderly care and she'll basically liquidate all of their assets, keep the money for herself.
Yeah.
She bleeds them dry. And I was sort of expecting like a film like this. I thought it was like a little indie film. So I thought like, it'll be like, we'll start with her being a sincere caregiver and then she'll like do it once, she'll see the merits in it. And then her operation will be like one office with like one or two people.
Yeah.
They're making a bit of money, but it doesn't really go that far. But no, like we open the film and the operation is already fully formed.
Yeah.
We are like in the throes of it.
Yeah.
There's no time like, this is how we start, this is how it builds up. It's like, no, this is what you're here for.
Yeah, second act of Wolf of Wall Street.
Go.
Right in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just there's lots of stuff like that where it feels like a lesser film or a film that was like more determined to take its time would embellish certain details, or like, oh, we have to explain this element. Or, no.
Yeah, get on with it.
Yeah, it doesn't waste your time. I think it's like 2 hours.
It's pretty much dead on 2 hours.
It's pretty much dead on 2 hours, and not a single minute is wasted.
Not at all.
No.
Never bored.
Yeah,
it flies by.
Absolutely,
the running time. Yeah. So the things I alluded to earlier, things like a retro soundtrack, is the kind of thing in a film that would start to turn me a little bit, because I don't like that kind of done artificially, if you know what I mean. I don't like it when, we're going for like an 80s movie thing. The thing I like about it, it's got that retro soundtrack, but the cinematography is really modern and slick. There's like a complete...
and it's not, what's it called?
Jarring. It's not like disjointed.
No, I'm trying to think of the term. A period piece.
Yeah,
it's not a period piece.
No,
the music it's like an aesthetic choice.
It's just a choice, and it kind of fits in with the kind of synth thing fits in with a really clean environment.
There's also moments of it though where it feels, yes, it's incredibly modern cinematography, but there are moments where it feels like it's trying to evoke the 80s a little bit.
A bit, yeah.
I mean, the way that all of the characters dress is incredibly garish.
Yes.
Bright colours.
Well, okay, so this is another
very
thing.
severe, like, haircuts and everything.
It's got a bit of a graphic novel feel to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, if you told me this was based on a graphic novel, I'd believe it instantly.
Yeah, because, I suppose it feels like, when I say that it gets on with it, it sort of has the energy of, like, everyone's already... It's like a Batman... Like an interpretation of Batman. It's like, well, everybody already knows the iconography of Batman.
Sure.
So let's... Like, it's already a shared language. Let's skim over that. John Wick might be a better example.
Okay.
Where there's clearly this whole, like, universe. But we're not going to dwell on that too much.
Yeah, it's just
like,
there.
You go to the hotel and you get the sense that there's this bigger world. But it's not important to the story we're telling, so we're not going to see it.
But see, so John Wick, I don't mind those films. I like them a bit, right? But that would be an example of going for the graphic novel thing that irritates me a little bit.
Okay.
Like the women in the call center and like, you know, the design of the assassins.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to be Tarantino, trying to be, you know, I don't like that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Or the Raid 2, you know, a hammer girl and all that.
Yeah. Well, that's more anime, I suppose. That feels, that feels like they're going for an anime.
Yeah. Like I can be put off by that sort of stuff. Or like the British version of, the original version of Utopia, which I broadly liked. But obviously, like a comic book was at the center of that narrative, so the show kind of looked like one.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Okay.
With comic books.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, so those things usually turn me off. So like in I Care a Lot, you've got Peter Dinklage as the villain. Obviously, it's a very striking image.
Yes.
And him eating eclairs and like the little cakes and everything. And the way like the his dude dressed in the tracksuit, and it's got that thing. But I loved it in this.
Yeah, he's got the tracksuit wearing henchman. He's got the lawyer henchman.
The lawyer, it was always in like a 3-piece suit.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought it was to its strength in this. I really loved it.
Yeah, it's incredibly striking because it's not if you were to deliver that pitch to someone, it's about a caregiver that exploits her patients.
Yeah.
That's not an immediately striking premise. It's like, okay,
what's the hook? We haven't really said what the hook is.
Okay, we'll get to the hook. But the point I was going to say about like it feels reminiscent of the 80s. There's a scene where Rosamund Pike and Peter Dinklage meet for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's in this like quarry.
Yeah.
And like the lights from the cars, like the backlights of the cars, are sort of lighting up the quarry in this like deep red glow.
Yes.
And that feels very like neon.
It was very Scorsese.
It's very Scorsese, but it's got that sort of like neon 80s aesthetic to it. And that feels like a panel from a comic book.
Yes.
It's incredibly striking.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing what they managed to achieve visually, considering that like the primary locations of this film are like an elderly home, an office, just like regular cityscape.
Loads of different offices. Her office, Peter Dinklage's office.
Like not immediately because St. Maud looks gorgeous.
Yeah,
but it's in striking locations.
It's got a beach, it's got location working,
a seaside quarry.
Yeah,
you know her apartment's quite dingy, but like
what Board Church relies on a lot of the time.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas they're very boring locations, but they look great.
Social Network again. We get back to Social Network.
Such a great looking film.
Yeah.
That's the setup for the film. She runs this operation where she goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, you could exploit this patient. And they exploit that patient. They take her to a specific care home. I think is it alluded to that she's got multiple care homes or just the one?
I think multiple.
She works with multiple care homes. But she puts them into care. and then the care home makes sure that the patients are subdued.
There's kind of like 3 of them in on it. Well, 4 of them, right? Her and her girlfriend, the doctor, and like the middleman, sort of.
Yeah, the one who runs the care home.
Who runs the care home, yeah.
Yes. So they find this one woman who has no living relatives.
Diane West.
West is the actress?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I thought she was called something else.
I think it's West. It's spelled like Weast.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's West. Yeah. She's a Woody Allen veteran. She's in a lot of Woody Allen films.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, she lives on her own. She's filthy rich. She's got no living relatives.
Prime target.
Like the ideal target.
Yeah.
So they go for it. They rope her in. They get her in that care home. They're keeping her hostage. They sell off all of her assets. And then it becomes clear that she has some very dodgy connections to people who want her out of that care home. And that's when it starts to like...
shit gets real.
Shit gets real. Because you've got Rosamund Pike who's running her own criminal operation. Although, like, she's exploiting the system, but everything she's doing is technically legal.
Yes.
That's sort of like that leads to the conclusion of the film, right?
Well, sort of like it's that kind of American dream is really a nightmare sort of narrative, because that's what it is. It's an American dream movie.
Yeah, like I'm sure if you were if you were to explain, or someone was to explain exactly what you're doing, like anyone worth their salt would go, "Oh, that's bad.
Yes,
that's immoral, and you're doing something wrong."
Yeah,
but she's able to do it in a way where it feels like it's within the confines of the system.
Well, it's like
so she's able to get away with
claiming expenses of toilet roll sort of thing, isn't it? It's like it's that level of criminality.
Yeah,
but like because it's dealing with geriatrics, it just kind of is a bit more reprehensible.
Oh yeah. But yeah, she's running her own criminal operation, and then she brings this woman into her care, and it's clear that she's got ties to people who are running their own criminal operation, which is a little less. Not that what Rosamund Pike's doing is forgivable, but it's a little less forgivable than what she's doing.
More outside the system.
Yes, exactly. And that's really interesting, having your quote-unquote heroes and your quote-unquote villains. All of them are criminals, and all of them are doing wrong. Yeah. There's no good character in this film.
And I gotta say, so there's one line that I think is sort of, if not designed to win you over, to at least push you a little bit more towards Rosamund Pike, and that's when they kill the doctor, don't they?
They do.
They kill the doctor, and spoilers?
I don't want to give too much away.
Let me just check. I don't think I have any. No, I don't.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, okay, well, that's fairly early on. So they kill her doctor friend, and then she basically says, well, essentially, you brought a gun to a knife fight, doesn't she? Like, you fight me in a court of law, on my terms. You don't go killing my friends.
Yeah, you're no longer playing fair. If you're going to play this game, we play it fair.
That I was like, no, you do deserve everything coming your way. Okay. I just thought they've just beaten you. They're beating you. That's right. Like, you can't get away with this shit.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know whether that makes me a misogynist or something.
I don't know.
But you know what I mean? Like, I didn't buy that. I was no, they just one-upped you. Like, your move.
That's the thing. The film, like, puts Rosamund Pike at the centre of it. Yeah. It's not necessarily endorsing her actions. It's just that because of screen time and because of the story. It's her story. Yeah. It's clear that she's the focus of this story. Yeah. And yet, like, throughout the film, I was rooting for different people. There were times where I wasn't rooting for Rosamund Pike. There were times where I wasn't rooting for Peter Dinklage. There were times where I was rooting for the woman that she's got under her care. Yeah. There were times I wasn't. Like,
it's really interesting.
Your allegiances shift a lot throughout the... Mine did, anyway. They shift
mine did, yeah. Like, Chris Messina, like, his big scene is the lawyer, you know, when he goes to see her and basically threatens her.
Yeah.
My biggest criticism, by the way, I wanted more Chris Messina.
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
Yeah, when he came into the film, he felt like a formidable adversary to her. It felt like... you've met your match.
Well, Chris Messina has always been a guy that's just in things.
Yeah.
Right? He pops up in things. And then he was in Birds of Prey, playing Victor Zsasz, which I just weirdly found.
You were really drawn into
I gravitated towards it. It was just his voice, or something about his delivery.
Okay.
And he's playing another villain here. Like, you got to do that more.
Yeah.
You got to play more, because slimy shark kind of look.
Oh, yeah, he's perfect.
Yeah.
He's perfectly cast for this.
And, he says to her, like, look, I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm a criminal. You're a criminal. You carry on doing what you're doing, just not with her.
Yeah.
Like, just leave her alone. Crack on. I don't give a shit. Like, I think he says all power to you. Like, I respect it.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought in that scene, well, Rosamund Pike, you're just being unreasonable. Like, just give it back. And then he offers her money, and she's like, nah, not enough.
Yeah.
But no, I wish there was more Chris Messina. Because he gets, like, 2 scenes?
Yeah, he's really not doing much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the best thing about the film?
What was it?
It's original.
Yeah, completely original.
It's an original film,
completely
which is nice.
Original.
Yeah.
And it's crime thriller, right?
Yeah.
If you were to describe it as anything, it's a crime thriller. But it still feels like an entity unto itself.
Yeah, it's got its own thing going for it.
Yeah. Is that what you meant when you said you thought it was more my film? Because it's not a concept film.
I suppose it's stylistic.
But it's sort of like... it's stylistic, but also... Like, Bad Genius is a heist film.
Yeah.
But it's about kids cheating on exams.
Yeah.
This is a crime thriller, but it's about a caregiver exploiting her patients.
Yeah,
and like the criminals get involved in that.
I guess so, yeah. I guess so. I just, this type of film, I just feel like appeals slightly more to you.
Yeah.
But I loved it. It's because also Rosamund Pike has played a bitch before in Gone Girl.
Yeah, it's weird to think... Now, having watched her in this film now, it's weird to think that Gone Girl was such a revelation.
I know.
Like, there was a time where it was a surprise that Rosamund Pike was good. This good.
A good villain. But the great thing is, it's a totally different type of...
Yeah, she's not repeating Gone Girl.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. Like, this one, she's kind of... It's like she's carved, isn't it? Like, with that haircut and... She's carved to be this kind of power-hungry businesswoman.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is deliberate, like, because her entire... You can tell it's an identity that she's constructed for herself. Yeah. Like, this is who I've become. That's kind of what the opening narration in the film is. It's her saying that, like, you know, I've built myself this way. Yeah. You know, I've been poor, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, something like sheep or they're a lions.
Yeah, I'm a lioness. Yeah.
Boom, 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 I mean, there's a tiny bit of the female empowerment thing, but I thought a bearable, nice amount.
Yeah,
so like when
I completely understand it in a film like this.
Dressing down Macon Blay at the beginning, like if you ever, is it because I'm a woman that makes it worse for you? So, alright, fair enough. And like when Chris Messina calls the doctor a he.
Yeah.
But I like that because he mistakenly does it. It's a she, and then he keeps saying this she doctor. I like the passive aggressive.
Yeah, like he's trying to get to her. Yeah, trying to piss her off. But that's the thing. It didn't feel like. I mean, this could just be my interpretation.
Yeah.
Like if you're more inclined to female empowerment, you might see it as like a genuine. Like, oh, that guy is just assuming that the doctor's a he.
Yeah.
But it felt like he was doing that to piss Rosamund Pike off.
I think the first time was a mistake. Yeah. And then he kind of because she took exception to it.
Yeah.
He leaned in on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like, oh, we've written this character to be a misogynist because he's the bad guy.
No, he's trying to win a negotiation.
Yeah, and so he's being misogynist to piss her off.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the only reason we do it.
Well, yeah, I suppose.
To annoy people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If I've got another criticism.
Okay.
But it's not really.
Yeah.
The ending might be too neat. It might be a bit too neat.
Okay, are you referring to the ending or
I'm referring to
the final montage?
What happens at the end?
The very end.
Yeah.
I really liked the final end.
Okay.
Because that montage...
Yeah.
It wasn't losing me, because it doesn't go on long enough for me to be like, oh, you've lost me now.
Yeah.
But yeah, when that was happening, I was like, I don't like this as an ending. This doesn't feel like the film was building to this.
Mixed.
Especially since, like, if that ending had just played out the way I was expecting it to play out, then everybody wins?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. We won't say what it is, right? No. But, like, the position she ends up in, I thought was kind of like... I didn't expect it, but when it happened, I thought it was inevitable. Yeah. It was like, oh, yeah, of course, this is what this whole thing's been about. It's been like an origin story for this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, that's cut off at the knee sort of thing.
Yeah.
I liked it, but it just felt using that character to do it may have been telegraphed. Like, I sort of saw it coming. Like, that he was going to come back into it.
But again, like, I didn't see it coming, but when it happened, there was an inevitability to it.
Okay,
like, there are characters where, like, from a storytelling perspective, it would have made more sense to use those characters because, these are the relationships we've been building this whole film.
Yeah.
But the fact that they used who they used to do what happened.
Yes.
I think that really works.
The Boardwalk Empire treatment. Almost.
Yeah, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler because
no one's gonna know what that means.
No, yeah.
No one's gonna know what that means. But
because it's not set up.
No, don't get me wrong. It's not a big problem for me. It's just,
but
it's not a major criticism. It just felt like I sort of saw through the script for a second. And went, I see what you did. You planted that earlier, and it's a coda, and but it's not a big problem. I don't think it's a spoil to give away the final line of the film, right? Because
you can give it a go.
It's 3 words.
Give it a go.
Do you remember what it is?
Not quite.
It honestly gives nothing away. Right, this film, though, it makes tries to make some serious points. It feels like it gives you his manifesto in the final moments, and I was like, good. Like my experience of the film is what you wanted it to be.
Okay.
It was fun. It was fun. Yeah. It's like, that's meant to be at us, right?
Yes.
It was just fun. That's all it was. It was just some
exactly.
fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So far, best film of the year for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So good that I'm worried that nothing's going to top it.
It's got to, though, right? I always say this. I see a film I like early in the year, assuming that, man, we've got a year ahead of us.
I don't know for certain if The Vast of Night was the first film I saw from 2020, or at least the first one we talked about from 2020.
Yeah.
But that's ended up being my favourite film of 2020.
I think Doolittle may have preceded.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. but I think The Vast of Night was the first good film that I saw from 2020, and it ended up being the best.
Yes.
Mad Max Fury Road was the first good film I saw of 2016.
Yeah.
And that ended up being the best.
Yeah.
You get instances like Whiplash where it's like, you see that at the very end of the year.
Or for me, Spotlight,
Or
like
for you, Spotlight, right
at
the end. It's like, okay, that's clearly the best.
Yeah.
And I know that we've got The French Dispatches coming out this year. Mm-hmm. We're finally going to get the Edgar Wright film.
You had Spider-Verse. That was December, 18th?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
It can happen.
It can happen, but I don't know.
Well,
even if we have more good films this year, this one's going to be in the running.
Okay, well, would you be
through.
Unhappy if it wasn't beaten? Or would you be happy for this to be your favourite
film? I would be
happy
happy to call I Care a Lot my favourite film of the year.
All right.
But I would be disappointed that I had to wait a whole year to do that.
Okay, but you wouldn't be disappointed if there was no strong competition?
Well, I mean, I always like strong
competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wouldn't bum you out to have to make this.
It would bum me out. Like, this isn't Parasite.
No.
It's a great film. I love it, and I feel like one of the best things about it as well is it's a completely original idea.
Yeah.
That's incredibly accessible and fun. You could recommend this film to anyone.
Yeah.
And I feel like most people would have a good time with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not slow, it's not plotting, it's not... Like, it deals with characters, but it's not, like, character-focused.
No.
It knows that, like, we're here to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And it plays with that. It plays with all of the elements that it introduces.
It's playful, yeah.
It's very playful. But it's not Parasite. Like, anything that came out in the same year as Parasite did not stand a chance.
Of course.
That was apparent the moment we saw Parasite.
Yeah.
It's plausible that films could come out that are as good as I Care a Lot.
Yeah.
So it would be disappointing if there was no competition this year.
Yeah, it's not a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But it's
great.
bloody good.
Yeah. Really great.
I guess we both recommend it then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That was clear from the start, wasn't it? But yeah, I Care a Lot. Watch it.
Yeah, watch it.
Watch it.
Should we talk about Sarah Everard?
Oh. Speaking of watch it, it's a different kind of watch it.
I've noticed a very female-centric episode again.
It has been.
Yeah,
that's weird, that isn't it?
But it's not. Yeah, it's not a conscious thing.
No, absolutely
it's just,
not.
But
I don't know what that was supposed to imply. So it's
nothing.
Weird,
nothing. It's just something I've noticed. Because the last one as well. I mean, that was the thumbnail, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all. We didn't talk exclusively about women.
No,
just so happened that all the major topics we covered were
women-centric.
Yeah, women-centric.
What do you think of this whole thing?
Okay, this is what I was worried about coming straight off the heels of Justice League.
It feels like you've warmed up.
Oh yeah, like I'm sure this has sounded fine.
Yes,
it's not like I don't know how this podcast has sounded so far. I don't feel like we've been having fun with it. It's not like fun like would you cast a black man in Planet of the Apes? There's not been like fun conversations.
Well, there might have been some of that had I not known we were going to be reviewing 3 films.
Yes,
and was choosier.
Yeah, no, I feel like this has been going all right. I feel like this is competent podcast,
more efficient. I think.
We might finish before.
Don't know.
Okay, yeah, I won't jinx it.
Yeah.
We've been doing all right, but
yes. Let's not dwell and move on.
Okay, all right. Yeah, this is the part where it derails now. But yeah, my fear coming off the back of Justice League was, I could talk about films, I could talk about Meghan Markle, but talking about Sarah Everard, that requires focus.
Yeah.
And right now my brain is spaghetti, it's mashed potato, it's...
Well, which is it?
It's... which one's more... if you had a brain that was made of spaghetti, would it work more efficiently than a brain made of mashed potato?
Well, I don't know how it would hold together. So I suppose,
Well, I mean, that's
spaghetti.
kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's all
Whereas
just...
mashed potato, at least it clumps together. So I suppose spaghetti would be...
I suppose spaghetti. But
more
spaghetti
evocative.
has shape to it. It has form to it. Mashed potato doesn't.
It doesn't have a definitive form to it.
No.
But it does adhere.
No, it binds.
Yeah.
But spaghetti is... It's a clear thing, isn't it? Spaghetti, like...
Yeah, but it's there's with no rhyme or reason. You can't really connect it unless you twirl up a fork. Twirl a fork around it.
No.
Twirl it around a fork.
It's around a fork.
It's around a fork. Who cares?
Okay, alright.
Carry on.
What are we talking about?
You feel the topic you might not have enough focus for.
Yeah, it's a topic that requires delicacy. Even if you're talking...
Does it?
I think so, because it's still such a hot topic at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, George Floyd is still kind of news relevant. Although didn't we see memes of George Floyd the other day?
Yeah.
Sort of signifying that's where we're at culturally. Like, it's okay to meme George Floyd.
I mean, it was
now.
a meme from, like, my people.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
We're not quite there yet, I don't
Okay.
think.
The point is, although I know his trial is starting, or is it started?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
I know it's, like, either now or soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we got a bit of distance from that. It's not the biggest topic in the world at the moment.
No.
Whereas it feels like Sarah Everard is.
Well, not anymore, really.
Okay.
Because it's been a week.
Well, yeah, certainly not by the time this podcast comes out.
No, even now. So we're recording on the 21st.
Yeah,
And
21st of March.
Yes, 21st of March. And this happened, like, in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Within a day of it being the biggest furore on the internet, gone.
Right.
No sign of it.
Okay.
Zero sign of it.
Well, I mean, the Sarah Everard incident itself, I don't really have anything to say about it, because I don't feel like there's any, like, conversation or controversy around it. The situation itself.
No. We have nothing to say about the actual situation.
The actual situation. Her what happened to her was horrible.
Grotesque, indisputable.
The guy deserves everything he gets, if
Right.
indeed he is the right guy, which I'm pretty sure everyone is sure he is. Right?
Yeah. I'll go further. Yeah, like, if he killed her, he should be killed. You know what I think about that sort of thing.
Exactly.
No ambiguity there.
No ambiguity about the situation. I suppose what...
As always,
Yeah.
it's the response.
It's what happened in the wake of it
Yes.
that is the thing worth talking about.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick it off?
Well, I mean, again, I've written an article.
Yeah, you have. Do you want to plug that article?
The article is called Mimetic Rebuttal. You know, I didn't really write an article about her
No, it's
situation
a
in
very
particular.
specific
It is, yes.
thing that happened in the wake of it that you wrote an article.
Yeah, there was a meme doing the rounds that a lot of people were sharing. There was someone had written a list of the men that were part of the problem.
It was the response, because one of the things that popped up in the wake of it was the hashtag not all men, because there was a lot of fury directed at men.
Yes.
So in response, men and maybe other people as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if women, some women of
I'm
certain
sure some
inclinations
did,
would have retweeted it.
Sensible middle-aged women.
Okay. Alienate whoever you want.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care.
But yeah, the hashtag not all men started doing the rounds. So I think the meme was like, okay, not all men, but let me clarify which men we're talking about.
And it was, I think, 67.
There was 67 points, which basically applied to all men, right?
Essentially.
Yeah. I think even, like, some of the topics she covered, even people who were allied with the way that that woman or whoever made that meme clearly thinks, like wherever she's clearly inclined politically, even people that were on the same side as her applied.
Okay, well, this is sort of...
Like, this thing applied to them.
One of the fundamental problems with this sort of thing, right, is I think the people who shared it, and indeed the people who wrote it, didn't think that much about it.
They did feel like a couple of points that were just completely redundant.
That's the
like
thing.
We're covering the same ground that you covered in point 20.
You're riffing. You're just waffling, right?
Yeah.
And someone in your dorm or whatever said, oh, that's the list. I don't know who wrote it. Right?
No.
But my contention with it was, okay, I understand that people sharing it are just kind of doing it blindly. It seems vaguely virtuous.
Yeah.
The first few points are just on the face of it agreeable. Yeah, fine, let's do it. With solidarity and all that. But my problem with all this is you can't just go throwing words around that have meaning flippantly.
Yes.
Like, you know, and you said it kind of alienates everyone. So you've got, like, on that list, it's men who make rape jokes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fairly specific.
Yeah.
Then it's men who've heard rape jokes and haven't done anything about it.
Right, okay.
So then, right, okay. I mean, if you're talking about alienating everyone, one of the items was men who were really scared of being falsely accused.
Yeah.
Now, is there a man who isn't
afraid of being falsely accused.
Now, I'm not saying like walks around with that fear.
Yeah.
But like logically would have a fear of that.
Yeah, if they're in a situation, not even a situation they've caused directly, because it's not unheard of. I don't know how common it is. I'm willing to say that it's not too common. But there have absolutely historically been situations where men have done nothing.
Yeah.
But have been in, like, when I say they've been in positions where they've been falsely accused of rape, it's not the man's fault.
They've been vulnerable to it.
They've been vulnerable to it, yeah.
Because their social life is very narrow, or, you know, like, I can pick that guy because no one's going to know any better, basically. And you find that often is the case, right? People at the bottom of the social ladder are the ones targeted because who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You know, nobody talks to them. They'll assume I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm not using this to discredit any... So, are we saying that 0 women have ever falsely accused someone? If you are, fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
So let's just get that out of the way.
I mean, and it was probably a poorly phrased point, right?
Well, this
look at me mansplaining.
I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah.
That line, men who are really scared of being falsely accused, what they meant was men who might have done something over the line.
Exactly.
But they didn't say that, and that's my problem.
No, yeah, like it's men who know they've done something wrong, and the fear that it's going to come back to bite them.
Yeah, if you're really scared, you must have.
You must have done something.
Yeah,
but no, like men who have not done anything hold that fear.
Yeah, and it's rational.
Yeah,
it's a rational fear.
It's not like all men walk around all day being like, "Oh, I better not talk to a woman because she'll accuse me of rape."
I don't think I've ever been scared of being accused of falsely of rape.
No,
that's never something.
Yeah,
but if you told me, like, is it something you fear?
Yeah.
I'd say, well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not something I don't fear.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
But that's the problem. They didn't say that. And if we're going to talk about this kind of delicate subject, you have to be precise with your language.
Yeah.
We all have to tiptoe. Where you can't just say anything you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm broadly with you. We're all fucking against rape.
Yeah.
But don't say that any man who's just let a joke slide is part of the problem.
It's that lack
of... ludicrous person.
It's that lack of precision in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we always seem to get stuck on. Because there's a lack of... When people who are responding to a situation, like a horrible thing that happens, like George Floyd or Sarah Everard, which people are lumping together, I think because both policemen were involved.
Police were involved, yeah.
Because this guy was a police officer. I don't think he was on duty when he did what he did. Was it a rape and a murder, or just a murder? Of
Sarah Everard?
Yeah.
I don't know if we know if she was raped yet.
Okay. Certainly murder.
Certainly murder. I'd be surprised if it wasn't rape.
Okay. Yeah. He was not on duty at the time.
No.
His actions were not endorsed by the police.
Arrested straight away.
He was arrested straight away, charged straight away. He might have used his position as a police officer. In fact, I'm almost certain he used his position as a police officer to get her guard down to the point where he could do what he planned.
Individual abusive police power.
Yes, exactly.
Points to nothing systemic.
No, absolutely not.
Other than maybe they could have... Because we've heard some stuff about, like, he exposed himself. I don't know whether that was before he was in the police. Like that, all right... problem. Don't hire a guy who's been done for exposing himself. Yes,
exactly, yeah.
And everything can always improve, but it's that knee-jerk progressive reaction of if one little thing goes wrong, right, how do we fix the whole system?
Yeah.
How do we cover it all, you know?
Yeah.
So you can't. I'm sorry, but there are limitations on what we can do to kind of vet people. Some rotten cunt is going to slip through and end up murdering a woman.
Yeah.
It's horrible, but shit happens. I know that sounds really callous, but what do you propose to do about it? Utopias aren't possible.
Yeah, like, you know? What can you do about it? Oh, we should educate men on sexual assault and rape. It's like, well,
see, this is the thing.
Most men walk around knowing not to rape and sexually assault.
When you wade into these waters, right? Because that's the thing. It sounds like we are saying we don't want kids told don't rape.
Yeah.
My point is, I guess
you don't have to tell them.
I guess I've got no problem theoretically with teaching kids about sexual assault. But yeah, I never had to be told that.
Yeah.
It's something that is culturally osmosed.
Yeah.
You get it from being alive in the West.
And my problem. It depends on how young they plan on delivering these lessons.
Oh yeah, there's a limit.
But like, I wouldn't want like sexual assault and rape to be part of their sex education classes. I wouldn't want my child to be learning about rape before they've even fully learned about sex.
It's like when parents say my 7-year-old is gay. Your 7-year-old isn't anything.
Yeah.
isn't anything yet. Let's not start talking about sexuality till they're like in their teenage years or whatever.
But yeah, I was going to say it's that lack of precision, because there's when people react, they react strongly. It's like, we need to sort the situation out. Mm-hmm. And then some people might suggest, we need to do this. And then someone goes, well, that's not practical. And but you just don't want to...
You're part of the problem.
Yeah, and then like these fights break out and the real villains get lost in all of this.
Yeah.
At the moment, there seems to be a focus on like, the police need to be sorted out. Mm-hmm. The police are the problem, the police need to be sorted out. While the rapists and the murderers... who are the real villains in all this, like the police can't go out and do the policing because they have to be at the protests, and there's all this stuff at the moment. Yeah. But like, I suppose the example I was going to use about a lack of precision, nothing ever became of it. I don't think it was ever really up for real consideration. Mm-hmm. But there was a Green Party politician who suggested on social media, in the wake of Sarah Everard, women are terrified. And that's one thing I want to make clear. I'm not like... detracting from the way that this has made certain women feel.
No.
If you say that you're terrified to walk the streets, I believe you.
Sure.
I completely believe you. We can have conversations about what can be done about that, and we can have conversations about, the certain like statistics of what's likely to happen and like what kind of threat we're dealing with. Yeah. Those conversations can be had. But if you say you're terrified, I completely believe you. Yeah. I have no intention of diminishing how you feel. But yeah, she said that like because women feel so scared and because this man was responsible, I suggest that we impose a 6 p.m. curfew on all men until further notice, so that we have time, we buy ourselves time to sort out this raping nonsense, basically. Because
those inclined to rape are inclined to go have a bedtime.
I was going to say,
Come on.
Firstly, if you're willing to like rape and murder, which is as much as you can break the law,
pretty much.
A 6 p.m. curfew is not going to stop you. No. You're either going to go out after 6 p.m. or you'll just like rape him at lunchtime. Right. Right? Yeah. You're not going to listen to it.
Exactly.
Secondly, Sam.
Yes.
Let's assume for a moment, and there are statistics that contradict this, I know this, but let's be generous and say that all industries are 50-50.
Men and women.
Men and women. Right. 50% men, 50% women, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not allowing men outside after 6 p.m., that means that men who have jobs that run after 6 p.m. are not going to be able to go to work. Mm-hmm. That includes doctors. Mm-hmm. You'll be taking 50% of doctors out of hospitals during a pandemic. Mm-hmm. You'll be taking 50% of all police officers off the streets at the times in which these crimes that happened to Sarah Everard are most likely to occur. You'll be taking 50% of all supermarket and warehouse workers, which means that supermarkets and like places like Amazon or online facilities that are the only places that are open at the moment won't be able to fulfill orders and stack shelves because they're not going to have the manpower. So that's a problem, is that we're kneecapping the country at the time where it's already on its knees, basically. Thirdly, all men. That curfew is all men. Yeah. That includes gay men. Yeah. Who have no stake in this whatsoever. If a gay man's going to go out and rape someone, it's probably not going to be a woman. No. Right?
Yeah.
So all gay men
would
be subject to this curfew. What happens when we get to people who identify as men, but are biologically women? Right. What happens when we get to biological men who identify as women? What happens when we get to transgender people who have transitioned through surgery? What happens when we get to people who identify as a gender that is not man and woman? Yeah. The people who are inclined to agree with, I mean, this is an assumption on my part, but I think a lot of people who would agree with the suggestion that there be a 6 p.m. curfew would be left-leaning.
Yes, they would.
Yes. The left have spent how many years completely destroying the concept of gender? Yeah. So you've put yourself in a position where an all-male curfew doesn't mean anything.
I remember going
because what is a man anymore? You've completely eradicated that terminology.
I'm not sure if you were there, but I went to a little show in Newport, and a fairly radical feminist, middle-aged woman, talked afterwards, and she said, we need to get to a place where we know there's no such thing as gender, and it's binary. It's like, which is it? Yeah. No such thing about. Anyway, she's doing all this, it's non-binary and all this shit. And then she said, but women are still oppressed. Like, you just said there's no fucking such thing as a woman.
Gender. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, it's exactly. But my answer to all that is these are non-serious people. They're not serious people. They're people who think slogans are solutions. The whole like duality of liberal and conservative. Used to be the liberals have the ideas, like this is how we're going to improve society.
Yeah.
We're gonna fucking build a rocket, and the conservatives will go steady on now.
Yeah.
How? Where do we get the money? I'm with you. Let's go to the moon, but let's figure out how to do it.
Yes.
And then you go, yeah, you got a point. I'm not going to go off on one.
Yeah.
Let's work together for a shared goal.
Mm.
Now, if we can unite under the goal of let's reduce rape and sexual assault as much as possible, they say all men are the problem.
Yeah.
The other side goes, right, just backpedal a little bit.
Yes.
And let's try and implement some proper solutions. And their response now is male chauvinist, rapist, Nazi.
Yes.
So there's no conversation to be
Or
had.
they'll go like, they'll say like, oh, men rape women. Women are terrified because of sexual assault men commit against women.
Yeah.
To which men say, well, it's not all men who rape women.
Yeah.
To which they'll go, well, obviously we don't mean that.
We'll fucking say it then.
Yeah.
That's the thing that winds me up, see, with All Lives Matter as well. Is I've got,
That's annoying me.
Yeah.
They're like, not all men is being lumped in with All Lives Matter as like a white supremacist rallying cry.
Yeah.
How?
By definition, it's
you
not.
You really need to.
Yeah.
If you believe that, okay, please explain it to me. Don't just say the slogan. Explain it to me, please.
Yeah.
Let's build some mutual ground
I think
so that we can solve the problem together.
I would say that they would say they would never concede the point because to concede is to die. But they would, realistically, they would think, we know not all men, but why are you interrupting me by saying not all men? That's what it is.
And by us having to make these clarifications means that the rapists are the women are still being raped. Like, this is not important right now.
But that's the thing. The All Lives Matter, not all men, to me, it's like your nice auntie or uncle, the virtuous middle-aged person or young person, but sees Black Lives Matter, doesn't really get what the whole thing is about, and just goes, oh no, all lives matter.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's all lives. Like, come on, Rainbow Coalition.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And they go, oh, fuck you, you mean white lives matter. I said all lives matter. But the reason all lives matter sprung up, and the reason not all men sprung up, is because the ideologues on the left aren't saying it at all.
Yes.
No one is going, right, this is a speech about what I think we should do about reform in the police. I fully concede that, of course, not all men are the problem.
Yeah.
This is not a male-wide issue. No one says it. No one says it.
A female politician openly says on social media, I think all men need to be subject to a curfew.
Yeah.
And you're surprised that we're saying hashtag not all men?
And this is the thing that winds me up when, I try in my writing to kind of be delicate and really write what I mean and use the words that I mean. But they never bother with that. They read between the lines of what you've really carefully chosen to say because that's what you really believe. And they just say Nazi.
Well, the other side can't win, can they? We live in, we live in a society now. I don't know whether this came from this is the result of the internet or whether this is just the result of politics flaring up as much as they have, or wherever this has come from. We live in a world where it's us versus them.
Well, we actually saw an interview about that, didn't we?
I couldn't remember the details of it.
Did I bring it up on the last one? Or
I don't know.
I can't remember. Basically, it's Brett Weinstein and Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. And
they make the point that it was a profound, I recommend it to everyone. Just Google those two, it's the most recent thing.
Yeah.
They said that, I think the hypothesis was that for a generation that's brought up with the internet, the online persona may be more important than the real life persona.
Yeah.
And because you can just change how you appear online, that should translate to the real world. So when someone says online, I'm now a woman, you can do that because it's within the physics of the internet.
Yes.
Whereas biology in the real world, you can't just do that. Right? No. And where most of us, beyond a certain age, and a dwindling few of us of our generation think that the real world is more important and the internet is an add-on, there's a whole generation that believes the opposite.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. So and you create these little bubbles for yourselves.
Yeah.
And so everyone else is the enemy. You've never had a serious conversation with someone who doesn't agree with you in real life. You've never empathized with somebody and then you found out that they were totally politically diverse to you.
Yeah.
Those things don't happen anymore.
No.
And the things that worry me really is we were talking about people becoming their ideology. And the thing that I'm seeing increasingly is people changing their profile pictures from pictures of them
Yeah.
to these slogans.
Yes.
You're literally covering your identity in ideology.
All photos of you have gone and replaced with slogans. And, you know, political thinkings.
And we kind of came to a profound revelation, didn't we, after a conversation in the wake of watching that video, and that the only two groups of people that do bad things while thinking they're good things are idiots and ideologues.
Yeah.
Everyone else, a sociopath, knows it's wrong to kill, he just doesn't give a shit.
Yes. Or she.
Or she, sure.
Don't be sexist, not during this conversation.
Sociopaths as she is, you know what I mean? Like, common criminals who steal kind of know it's wrong.
Yeah.
They just don't care enough for that.
Yeah. They're putting the value of the item over the value of, like, the moral implications of what they're doing.
But if they had to answer on a test, they would say wrong. They know it's objectively wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Even if they just kind of don't feel that morally. But the only people that do bad things thinking they're good things are people who just don't know any better.
Yeah.
Or people who just have ideas. They don't have personalities.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that depresses me the most, is when people talk at me in slogans like, oh man, he used to be a person.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He used to, that's, like, can you even explain the slogan to me? I know you understand the spirit of that slogan.
Yeah.
And you know that, like, other people use it in this context, so it's appropriate to use it.
Yeah.
But can you actually explain to me what it is?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if I sat somebody down who said that, like, all lives matter is a white supremacist statement or not all men is a sexist statement. Mm-hmm. I don't know. If I sat them down and I said, please explain how, maybe they would. Maybe I'm speaking to the wrong people on the other side of the aisle. At the moment, I don't believe that.
No.
I know that, like, maybe in theory, the idea is that all lives matter it's diminishing. It's meant to diminish Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh no, we're saying that black people aren't important, or they're not the focus right now. Everyone should be in focus. Mm-hmm. And I've seen, like, memes around doing the rounds on the internet saying, like, oh, that's saying all lives matter is the equivalent of, like, one house being on fire.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
that's the meme.
It's like, no, we should put water on all the houses because all houses matter.
Or why don't we just say all the houses matter? We'll focus our water on the one that's currently on fire.
Yeah.
But if that house was on fire, we put water on that too.
Yes, we're not going to put water on that house. I need to
know that the firefighting service has a vested interest in watering all the houses.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And I wouldn't want to highlight any one house.
No.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, jumping off from, I don't know if it was in that conversation, specifically in that conversation with the two of them, with Brett Weinstein and Jordan Peterson, but, like, the whole thing about the internet is not an add-on. The internet is the primary, quote-unquote, reality, and reality is an extension of that. Yeah. Like, I understand that it's uncomfortable to be in a position where you're talking to somebody who sits on the opposite side of the aisle to you politically. Yeah. If you're... It's an extreme example, but, like, if you're with a certain ideology in feeling, it's like, oh, this feels like I feel right. Yeah. When I think these things, when I say these things, I feel right. Mm-hmm. Being put in a position where somebody's going, okay, actually explain it to me. Yeah. And you're not able to rationalize it. You feel attacked. You feel uncomfortable. Yeah. And that's why... That's a reason that you like surrounding yourself with people who agree with you. Because like you want to build... Everyone needs a comfort zone. But that's the problem with the internet, is you can completely build your own comfort zone. Totally. Yeah. That's challenge. How echo chambers start. You build a comfort zone that just fills with more people and more people and more people, to the point where you're not even hearing the other side of the argument. No, I think they said that in normal society, because it's a fairly unbiased sample of people, you're going to be told what the world thinks of you. Yeah. That's not the case online, because you just pick the people who... Yeah. I think, was it Peterson that said, when you're at your lowest moment, you'll pick the people that support your wildest ideas. Yes. And that's how the whole thing kind of carries on. Yeah. I've forgotten the point. Well, we got a bit angry, I think. No, so we got caught up in it. Justifiably, yeah. Like I said, the lack of precision is one thing that's annoying me. Yeah. And also, just the lack of... I'm not going to say lack of focus. Mm-hmm. But that seems to be what's happened, right? Sarah Everard was killed. This was like a wake-up call for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Either a wake-up call or, okay, this is the moment where we can... A reminder, yeah. This just highlights what we're dealing with every day. Mm-hmm. But like, the conversation has now quickly turned to the police. Like, hashtag kill the bill, right? Because there's a new police bill that passed. Yeah. And isn't it fortunate that kill the bill, like the implications, the double implication of kill the bill. Yeah. The protests they're against the police now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think they're against men anymore.
At the moment, it's because of this new policing bill, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's what.
Which, I mean, you'll have to. I did read through it.
Yeah.
From what I understood, the purpose. Well, I say the purpose of the police bill. What the police bill seems to achieve is all of the power and all of the authority the police currently has over marches. Those powers being they now have those powers in the context of static protests. So,
to me, from what I understand of it, the majority of the bill is unobjectionable. But then there's this one bit that's in terms of the protests that says anything that causes serious annoyance can be quelled or quashed.
Okay.
And that's where it starts to get a bit dicey because that's a vague language.
I mean, like, bills and laws and all that kind of stuff, they have vague language in them.
They do, but obviously that's what leaves it open for abuse, right?
That's what leaves it open for abuse, but it also leaves it open for... I mean, laws, they're intentionally written by that. Some people will say, oh, it's so that they can be exploited later down the road. But just as easily, there might be a situation in which that leniency would benefit someone who's been like falsely accused, or to whom it's not, this doesn't really apply, but the person writing the laws would never have accounted for it.
I believe that any ambiguity in the law benefits the person that's been accused of breaking it.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work for the police necessarily.
No.
But still, that's vague language and unnecessary. And like a lot of conservative libertarians have said, no, you can't do that. I mean, in terms of like being ordered to control them a little bit more, like I'm not too against
what is it? It's like they're allowed to impose start and end times.
Yeah.
The police are allowed to impose start and end times.
A decibel level, they can't go above
they can't go above a certain noise level.
I'm alright with that. I mean, with that.
Wasn't because after Sarah Everard died, there was a vigil held for her, which people attended.
Yeah.
With placards.
Yeah.
Which, the last time I went to a vigil, I don't remember taking a placard with me.
No.
But police were also in attendance, and police ended up arresting people, and there were allegations of police brutality, and this has spiraled off into, I think that's what spiraled into, okay, now we're protesting against the police. That video of the vigil, I'd have liked to have seen...
What incited it?
Yeah, because that famous video, the police are standing amongst the crowd. Because isn't the story from people who were there, that the police turned up and they started like beating people and arresting people.
Yeah.
But you watch that video, and the first few seconds, the police are just standing amongst the people at the vigil. Not really doing anything. They're just kind of there.
Yeah.
And then something catches their attention off towards the right, I think it was. Because a lot of people look over to the right. Then the police start moving about, and the protesters start moving about. Somebody like lunges for the railings that comes from out of the field of view of the camera, and then the police start like grabbing a hold of people and.
But even then, not like that I could see that brutally.
Okay,
they were arresting them.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want them to like kneel down and like propose that they arrest them? I don't.
Yeah.
When the police arrest you, they do with a certain degree of force.
Well, because you resist, because that's your natural
and because
inclination.
as I think I saw, one of them at least was resisting. Not like badly, but it was like just wouldn't let herself be kind of pulled along.
Well, anyone would in that situation. Yeah.
It's the imprecision of language. Here's the thing. I'm all for being kind of reckless with language amongst your friends and even on a podcast. Because I can say something really over the line. You can go, Sam, that was over the line. And I can course correct. Because we should be able to say whatever we want, right?
Yeah.
And even writing, certain parts of writing, like be reckless. I'm all for that and just figure out what you believe. But in these areas, you have to be precise.
Yeah.
And don't say that the police are beating women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That disgusts me, that sort of thing. It completely undermines women who are beaten. Genuinely beaten,
absolutely, that's why, these words have set meanings. They carry certain implications. They have a certain power to them.
Yeah.
Because there's a precision to them.
We know what they mean.
Yeah, they apply to a certain... The radius of the definition only extends so far.
Yeah, it's the reason there's a distinction between we think of different things. We think of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and rape. They mean three different things.
They mean three different things.
Yeah.
If rape just covered everything from unwarranted flirting or a guy staring at you,
then I've raped.
To rape, then rape has less meaning because the range is so much broader.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
There was a article, I think this is tying into the point I was going to make, because I was saying about, like, vigils. Like, they were all at this vigil, but they were, like, it was a protest, and a fairly peaceful protest, I think.
It wasn't,
but it was framed as a vigil. And there have been other events, like, this is a peace, I've seen, like, events on Facebook, this is a peaceful vigil in the memory of Sarah Everard, and it's called, like, Reclaim the Streets.
I was invited to one of those.
Oh, you were invited to one of those, yeah. It's like, that's not what you call a vigil. It doesn't carry the implication of a peaceful vigil.
No, it implies a more active kind of
it does,
participation.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I saw a news article saying, like, a woman broke down in tears after being sexually harassed on the streets of Cardiff. Have you seen this article?
No.
Oh, you nodded. I thought you'd seen the article.
No.
Yeah, like, the woman has not been named in the article, but I think based on what happened, if you read the police statement, because, like, what the woman says and what the police statement says, they're in alignment. It's not like the police have omitted details or anything. Right. But it's like this woman was walking home down a particular street in Cardiff at 2 p.m. in the middle of the day, so it would be before this hypothetical curfew would even have been implemented.
Yes. The danger zone.
The danger zone, yes. She was walking home, and a stranger approached her, an unknown man approached her, and said something that she didn't hear because she had her headphones in. And I think she said that he, like, grabbed his crotch area.
Right.
And that he was drunk and potentially had mental health problems.
Okay.
And she crossed the road and he walked away.
Right.
And that was like, this woman has been sexually harassed and it's, like, ruined her day. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like the grabbing the crotch area, that could mean anything from, like, he was just scratching himself to he was, like, presenting himself to her. But
let's get real here.
She didn't even know what the guy said.
No.
She didn't hear what the guy said.
I do not want to undermine the terror that women feel in certain situations.
Absolutely not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And she felt whatever she felt. I'm not saying she didn't feel whatever she felt.
Yeah. She could have taken that.
Yeah.
Like, she could have interpreted that as sexual assault.
A friend pointed this out to me that I won't name.
Okay.
There's a mental health element to all this that's been neglected.
Okay.
And I think on both sides. And I think a large part of that is an endemic hypersensitivity.
Okay.
I think that women of a certain age wouldn't consider sexual harassment what young women today would.
Okay.
And I think that's for the worse. Things have got better in a lot of ways. Catcalling is annoying. It's not sexual assault.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't like people who catcall. I'm not defending people who catcall.
Absolutely
or whistle from cars.
But they shouldn't face the same punishments as a rapist.
No, or be considered in the same breath.
No, absolutely not.
And like, the stat of like 97% of women say they've been... I think that's unreliable on two fronts. We said this. Like, on the one hand, you've got women who, either of a certain age or of a certain constitution, that maybe any reasonable person would say it was sexual harassment, but they are just so strong-willed that they don't even blink an eye at that sort of stuff. So no, I've never been sexually harassed. And then on the other side of that, you've got women who are hypersensitive, who misinterpret, or who lie, because some women lie.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not to discredit any one woman. It's just to say, again, are we saying zero? Like, what is anybody saying nobody rapes? No,
of course not.
Is anybody saying that it's good when other than, like, fucking foul people on the internet? It's good when a person's raped.
No,
we're all against rape.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of my next point.
Right, listen to this. We're all against it, right?
Is there anything we can do to stop all rape everywhere forever?
Well, that's what we want, right? That's what they want.
Can we do it?
I don't know how.
No.
If it can be done, I haven't the faintest idea.
The answer is no.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And I'm not unwilling to have, like, that shouldn't be taken as a saying, well, there's clearly no solution, so what's the point in talking about it?
No, there's a point in talking about it. We can make things better.
Yeah, I'm happy talking about what can be done.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure out if anything can be done, or at least let's figure out what we can do.
This is the thing. Like, it's all about educate your son, all that sort of stuff. I think the kind of psychology that's going to grow up to violently rape is not going to care whether you tell him don't rape.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I don't mean to then suggest, so don't bother. Again, in principle, I suppose I don't have a problem with it. I just fail to see its utility. I don't know who it works for. Oh, I might have otherwise raped. But now that I've been instructed that it's immoral...
Oh, was rape supposed to...
It's the Bill Burr thing. Wife beaters.
Yeah.
Oh, Gubs-a-daisy, sweetheart.
Yeah. I thought she was a bit upset, but I don't know.
It's just a certain class of
scum. Wish you told me before?
I know.
I wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Right. It's scum are going to exist.
Yeah.
That, unfortunately, is just... You can't cure the world. It's just,
And that's another thing about like these looser definitions. That makes... It casts more people as the villain. Because by loosening the definitions, you expand the amount of people that it applies to. And we don't need to invent villains.
Well, you pointed this out a few times, because I would say, when this stuff flares up, I'm kind of not too reticent about saying what I think.
Yeah.
And happy for anyone to read what I think. You are generally a bit more to the centre of things than I am.
I think so, yeah.
And you're exactly the type of man that they should be trying to win over to their side. Because you're not like against them. Not that I'm against them, you know what I mean?
I've said before, I'm willing to hear what anyone has to say about anything.
As am I, of course. I'm always willing to listen to
anyone. But it's not like I won't... if someone starts talking about like a typically left-leaning idea or a right-leaning idea, I'll give them both.
Yeah,
I'm not like, I'm immediately tuning out.
No. Yeah, exactly.
Like, everyone deserves to be listened to.
Absolutely.
And I'm completely willing to do that.
But I think it's fair to say, and I'd like to think I'm the same way, but I'm more hard-nosed than you are, right? If I will tell people what I think.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you don't do that, but generally you're more laissez-faire, right?
Okay.
So, but you've said before that these people alienate people like you.
Yeah.
I could have been an ally, and you're saying I'm part of the problem. So
all men should be subject to a curfew. What, including me?
Yeah, including exactly, including me, who just would never even can't look a woman in the eye.
Thank you, sir.
No, you know what I mean. Like, I won't. It's not a flirty guy. Doesn't talk to women in club. Like, very shy guy.
Yeah.
It's just
like with those expanded definitions and all that. You make enemies out of more people. And like I said, the I don't want to dwell too much on that curfew because it was never a real suggestion. So I don't want it to be like they spent this whole like section of this podcast debunking a curfew that was never going to exist.
Yeah.
I'm using it as an example because it embodies the
philosophy.
And it's a perfect for people who don't understand where not all men came from. That's a perfect example of that thinking is what brought it. Overshooting. Yeah. But if you punish all men for the crimes of, I don't know statistically, like whether it be like 2% of
a minority.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The guilty parties are still going to offend, but you're punishing the innocent as well as the guilty because you've all men are the problem. So we don't know who the bad guys are anymore. So everyone should be punished.
Well, let's try and... Okay.
So you alienate the innocent. You alienate people who are on the fence because you're coming across so strongly. And I understand where that strength is coming from. But I fear that so many people are so convinced that they are right, that there's no consideration that there are other people. Like, it is just an us versus them mentality.
Yeah.
Nobody's on the fence. You're either with me or you're against me.
Yes.
So those people who are on the fence, they get pushed away.
Right. To one side or the other.
Yeah, unknowingly. Like, they're obviously not like, oh, I'm going to alienate people, but their actions are doing that.
And this is how the left is, I think, winning the culture war for the right. Because they're pushing people like you to the right.
Yeah.
And you're not right-wing.
No.
That's a bad thing, by the way.
Well, I genuinely, a lot of people, I think they make a habit, I'm not anymore, but certainly of my parents' generation, you don't make a habit of saying who you vote for.
No, it's a private matter.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who to vote for in a general election, typically.
But I think even those
I have
no,
I'm a Tory guy or a Labour guy. It's like when the election does eventually come around, it's like, I should probably figure out who I'm going to vote for.
I mean, I do think that's over, really. That kind of brand of, that axis of like, left-wing, right-wing, conservative, it doesn't matter anymore. What it is now is you're woke, and everyone else.
Yes.
Not even woke and anti-woke.
Yeah.
It's woke and your average guy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the binary.
Yeah.
But like for 97, let's take that at face value. 97% of women say they've been sexually harassed.
Yes.
I could be way off on this, but I would imagine it's analogous to the 1% of wealth. So the 1% own, the top 1% own more than the bottom 99%. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I would assume it's the same for men who do harass women. I would say even if most women have been harassed, it's a minority.
Yeah, 97% of women are victims of sexual harassment and sexual assault, but
from 5 or 10%.
Yeah, 10% of men actually commit those actions. I know what you're saying.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that.
That's not to say men don't make mistakes or make women feel uncomfortable or flirt or come on a little bit too hard. Yeah, of course, but that's actually part of adult negotiation. Like if I'm with a girl and I'm a bit drunk and I'm coming a bit too strong, I'm not talking about anything physical, but just oh, come on, let me buy you a drink.
Yeah,
you just go, listen, mate, fuck off.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying, you know what I mean. Adults kind of work this stuff out together. That's kind of how it goes.
I mean, I would wager that most men, certainly a lot of men, over the course at least one point in their lives, have been told oh, she's playing hard to get.
Which is a thing.
Yeah, that's not being egged on by his mates. She's actually really into it. Just general romantic advice. Some women play hard to get. It's part of the game.
Women have told me they do that.
Yeah.
It's yes, it's part of the thing you do. You're going to make them want... Everyone knows that.
It's scary. It's scary, going into the world. Certainly now that most people have been out of that for a while, there hasn't been a social life in the outside world for the people who have participated in.
Even before that, though, I think our generation was the generation that had the least sex of 5 generations before us.
Right.
I think it's because of that.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of, technology, so I'll stay in, but also that. I just don't even want to get into it.
Yeah.
It's too risky.
It's is she playing hard to get? Am I coming across too strong?
Is she playing hard to get, or am I going to end up with a rape accusation?
Exactly, yeah. It is scary. And it's not as scary as
being raped.
No. I'm not saying that.
No,
I am not
but
comparing the two.
But yeah, that is... And you see that sometimes, men really fear being falsely accused.
Well, there's that line in Promising Young Woman, isn't there?
Right,
The guy who raped Carey Mulligan's friend, which is her whole motivation for the film. She ends up deciding to take revenge on the guy who raped her friend, and when she does encounter him, he's been tamed by maturity, and he's really devout to his wife, and he's oh, that's a completely different person. And he says to her, it's a man's worst fear being falsely accused of rape, to which she says, do you know what a woman's worst fear is?
Which is a good line, and making a good point.
Yeah.
It doesn't make the man's fear...
It shouldn't... That's in the same way that a false accusation of rape, a fear of a false accusation shouldn't detract from the fear of rape.
No.
The fear of rape shouldn't detract from a false...
Absolutely. Yeah. I would... Objectively, in every sense, your burden is worse in that respect. But it's still a burden.
Yes.
It's still a thing that we have to kind of... But we was talking about this, it's a male problem, that even men who are scared of walking alone, scared of other men. That's true. And, of course, but there are reasons for that.
I think I was... this was back when we were going to Ponty frequently with our school friends. So I was probably 15, 16. I was walking home from Ponty. It was a 40-minute walk. And I was walking down a footpath that sort of went... It was a public footpath, but it was out of public view, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And this guy, this strange guy, walked up to me and just started walking with me. He was like, I'm going to walk with you for a bit, if that's all right. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he started talking about, I'm going to fetch my machete.
Yeah.
That's a terrifying situation.
Yeah, I've, had weird encounters with guys that, seem they might go violent or something.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, men are scared of violent men too.
Violence and, that sort of stuff. It is always men that men are scared of, generally speaking.
Don't speak to me as if I don't understand what it's like to be scared of...
but that's they're adding to their point. They're saying, men are scared, but it's men they're scared of, so men are the problem.
Yeah.
To which I would say, you're right.
Yeah.
But that's just like saying gold diggers are vastly women. Do you know what I mean? It's it's a problem engendered by gender.
Right.
The reason men are more of a threat is because generally speaking, 99 out of 100 times, a man is going to be stronger than a woman that can physically dominate a woman or another man, this is where shit gets really real. You know what I'm going to say.
Oh, go on.
The only reason that women don't rape men was because they can't.
Yeah. They're not biologically
capable or wired that way.
Yeah.
Right? But what would... Oh, God, I'm going to come across a total sexist here.
Go on.
What would I argue women do more? emotionally manipulate, emotionally blackmail.
Okay.
Mess around. I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying. It's like each gender does its own horrible thing. And yes, what women have to face is worse. But saying that it's a male problem, well, you can just point to a different problem and say, well, that's a female problem.
Yeah.
It's because that's what your gender... there are fewer male gold diggers because women don't have to... Women can have whoever the fuck they want most of the time.
Yeah.
They don't have to... whereas old men, a young woman comes onto them, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Less discerning. And I know, again, it's a different scale of issue, gold digging and rape.
Yeah.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
Like saying it's a male problem doesn't really say anything about it. About it, like, somehow then men are psychologically worse than women. They have a higher sex drive and they're stronger.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason.
But that point about, men are scared of violence being committed towards them. It's usually men who commit that violence against men.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't that demonstrate that it is not all men? That
of course,
we're all willing, there's a certain type of person that we're all willing to fight here.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I've said to a bunch of people, the cliche, right, of like when rapists go into prison, everyone says, he's not going to last long.
Exactly.
The whole idea of even bottom-feeding, lowliest scum criminals loathe rapists.
Yes.
It seems like, I might have killed a guy, but you raped a woman, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, And I understand that impulse, even though we've said this before, murder is worse than rape.
Well, that was the whole conversation.
Feels worse.
Yeah.
You know? It kind of gets... It messes with you more than the idea of murder.
Well, it's such a...
Well, it's just the most, like... invasive, corruptive thing you can do to somebody, isn't it? Like,
it's absolutely that, but also, like, you can contrive a scenario in which murder is at the very least understandable. It's like, okay,
at the moment,
I understand how this murder occurred. I don't necessarily sympathise with it, but I follow you.
Yeah.
In what possible situation is a rape understandable?
That's what it is, right? So, like, there are occasions where taking a life is not only understandable, but the only possible, the principal thing to do.
Yeah.
A war, self-defense, etc. Killing isn't a blanket evil. Whereas rape, I cannot think of a single...
No. It's a pretty safe evil, right?
When we were set like 16 or 17 or something, we were in Spoons, and my friend, I think, basically posed that question, like, when would it be moral to do that?
Yeah.
And we kind of got
hypothetical
down to,
question.
Of
we
course,
might add.
of course,
like the thought experiments, not like a. So I'm looking for some advice, you know.
Yeah, the kind of conversations you have with your closest friends because you can.
Yeah.
And it got to like, it's the man and a woman on an island. All other people, the population of the Earth is gone.
Yeah. She doesn't want to, but if he doesn't, the population.
The population goes. Is it moral then?
Yeah.
And at the time, I said yes. Bear in mind, I was 16 or 17.
Well,
and that yes was based on. A kind of utilitarian, it's the only way to continue the species.
Yeah, like there are circumstances bigger than that.
That's the better thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, definitely not.
Yeah,
if she doesn't want to, then there's no more species.
If we don't have our morals, what are we?
Right, yeah. And it's just like, it's as simple as that. Even if that's the situation, you do not impinge on someone's freedoms like that. Yeah, it's never okay. There is a zero situation where it's okay to do that. So yeah, it's the worst thing. It is the worst thing. Should we stop talking about it?
Well, because there are points that I'm sure there were points I was like, I'll start making this point, and then we've all been caught up in it.
Yeah, I had so many.
I think, like, one thing I was talking about, we talked about expanding the definition of words, and that includes more, therefore there are more wrongdoers because the definitions have become so much looser.
Yeah.
We don't need to do that. There's plenty of evil in the world worth combating.
Yeah.
Without having to... I'm not saying they do that. I'm not saying that women are deliberately expanding the definition of sexual assault because we need more people need to have a spotlight shone on them to show them for the bastards that they are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying it's a deliberate thing.
I would say part of it is when you identify as progressive, it means you have to keep progressing towards something. And to stay in business, as it were, you need to keep expanding your definition so you still have something to fight for.
Right.
Racism, all that sort of stuff is like, that's not what it used to be.
But this is my point. Like, there are still people to fight, even if you don't expand those definitions.
Yeah.
Like this article.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this woman who, like, the guy sexually harassed her and she didn't even hear what he said.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she's lying. I'm not saying that I don't believe her.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that The article was so vague.
Yeah.
Both about the person who chose to remain anonymous and about the situation. I wouldn't be surprised if parts of it were fabricated.
Sure.
The situation itself.
Yeah.
Maybe even the person that this happened to. Because it was so vague. It's like, well, I can't even... I'm not saying like, oh, I have to know who she is before I believe her.
No, yeah.
Just like, as an out-of-context scenario presented to me, it's like, you've given me so little.
There's nothing to hold on to.
There's nothing to hold on to, yeah. Yeah, like this woman, it's like, I was sexually harassed, it upset me, it ruined my day. I think she said in the article, there was a girl who started walking down that road. I wanted to tell her, don't go down there, but I didn't. I don't think she explains why she didn't.
I gotta say, all things considered, it's sort of damning with kind of faint criticism, really. Ruined my day. I've had my day ruined by things a lot less than that. Do you know what I mean? Though? Oh, it ruined my day.
There was something about it that felt flippant.
Yeah, it ruined my day. It ruined my day.
Yeah, I was sexually harassed and my day was ruined.
Yeah, it's like, right, okay. Yeah. That might ruin a week for me. Or
yeah, it really annoyed me. I think she said that, like, it annoyed me. This feels like very flippant language.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like a newsworthy article that this woman was in this very vague situation. Yeah. Again, not to diminish if she is real, not to diminish what she felt, but like all these very vague circumstances. There was a situation. Well, it's sort of I don't even know if it's still unfolding. There was a porn star.
Yeah.
Called Aria Lee, I believe her name is, and I think it was late 2020, she posted a video on her social media stating that a porn director called Craven Moorhead, who I thought was... What's his name? The pseudonym in Hollywood.
I forgot. Alan...
Bentley? Not Bentley.
No, not Bentley. Smithy.
Alan Smithy. I thought Craven Moorhead was like an Alan Smithy figure.
Right.
Where it was just this pseudonym that any director could use.
That's the thing, right? Craven Moorhead, obviously it's a sexual pun.
Yes. Right? And it's obviously not his real name.
No.
They all use pseudonyms.
But when I picture it, Craven Moorhead, I don't think of that kind of dirty... To me, it's like an English nobleman. It's like a character in Wuthering Heights. I'm Craven Moorhead,
right?
Because Craven Moor, it sound like a raven, and you've got the Edgar Allan Poe thing. You know what I mean? It's got like a nobility to it.
Okay.
So Craven Moorhead, Your Majesty. Yeah.
Well, if Aria Lee is to be believed, this man is in no way noble.
Okay.
Because she
She
posted on her social media. She said that he sexually assaulted her, maybe multiple times. I think there was one occasion where he they were talking about the scene that they'd just done and talking about the characters and all that kind of stuff.
Motivations.
No, genuinely. Yeah. I think I don't know specifically. I think Craven Moorhead's done tons of stuff. He's a very prolific director.
Well, he's always craven.
Sorry?
He's always craven.
He's always craven. But I've seen, whenever I've seen his name in the credits, it's usually on porn that has more of a...
Why are you watching credits?
No, it's like...
Come on now. Come on. You're becoming a self-parody. You're wearing a Hawaiian shirt today.
It's not a Hawaiian shirt. It's a skull that just happens to have very loud patterns around it.
All right.
But yeah, it tends to be on more, story-driven stuff. It has a more... It's not just kind of like that vague, I'm the pizza man,
Yeah.
I don't have any money. Yeah, it's like
I've got a hat as well. I'll add that in.
Oh, you've got a hat.
Yeah,
yes,
got a hat
a
flat cap.
Flat cap. Yeah,
a fat cap. What are you saying?
A plaided fat cap.
Yeah, it's a die cap, isn't it?
Yeah, a die cap.
A
die cap.
A die cap.
Where's
Rosamund Pike when you need it?
Yes.
Go on.
This is very serious discussion, Sam.
I know,
we need to stop having these jokes. Now is not the time to joke. We have a whole podcast.
You're right. This is very serious. Let's get back to Craven Moorhead.
Okay. Yeah, they have a distinct setting to them. He's done a lot of videos with...
It's like a shared universe.
Do you know what? You joke about that.
Yeah.
But genuinely, there's Pure Taboo, I think, is the channel.
Right.
They do more story-driven...
Pure Taboo.
Yeah. But they've got a sub-series called Future Darkly. And I think it is genuinely a shared universe where all of these events are happening.
Okay.
It's like a dystopian future.
Right.
That's the setting. But
where survive, they have to fuck.
Yeah, that's one of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's to keep alive. They've got to keep pumping.
Well, I don't know if that one is kind of.
Okay.
There's one where these two people are locked in a cell together and there's a clock counting down.
All right.
And whenever they have sex, the clock stops.
Right.
And there's like another one where there are these survivors lost in the wilderness, and it's like a post-apocalyptic scenario, and they come across somebody who has plentiful supplies, but he wants something.
Is that a euphemism?
I suppose it could be. Well, yeah, it works in both scenarios, I think. But yeah, like
that's another porn actor, isn't it? Plentiful supplies.
Plentiful supplies, yes. Sam,
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to make a point.
Well, you can't.
A point that I started 30 minutes ago.
Okay, go on.
What am I, the Justice League?
What was later?
Later.
Later. What is that?
Later.
What is that?
I don't know.
It's Lee Evans.
Yes.
Yeah. Pocket for later.
Yeah.
Go on.
You bastard. No, I don't. I know the point I'm going to make. It's fine. It's not relevant. Like, the point is, they were talking about a scene.
You just argue with yourself.
No.
You kind of threw a thought out your head. It's not relevant. And you just threw it to the side.
No, because I was talking about Pure Taboo and their more story-driven stuff. Like, they've got distinct settings and there's know. But that's like background detail. Point is,
should Pooniverse.
Should Poon. Yeah.
It's all right.
Peen. Should
no. It runs the universe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Should Pooniverse.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all right.
Anyway.
All right.
They were having a conversation.
Shared Nudiverse.
They were having a conversation. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go with that. Don't come up with any more.
All right, it's done. We're done.
Why have we picked now to start being like
riffing?
Yeah,
because you're talking about porn.
Wait, I'm leading to a point. It's an important point. You're not letting me, Sam.
I'm not going to let you now.
Okay. They were talking about the scene, like a perfectly innocent conversation within the context of, the situation that they were in. Obviously, porn actress, porn director. Fairly innocent conversation about what they were doing. And then he pushed her off into a side room and orally raped her.
Okay.
I don't know if penetrative rape, like sexual, vaginal rape, or worse, happened later down the road. But I think that situation was definitely part of her accounts.
Okay.
It is an accusation, so I'm not going to say for certain that I believe her. But in the world of porn, I'm more inclined to immediately believe her.
Is he a sleazy looking chap?
He's a sleazy looking chap. And also,
he's a porn director.
And just the fact that everyone is around. But this is the thing, everyone is around sex all the time in the world of porn. But because of that, I imagine that they make a point of drawing very definitive, clear boundaries.
Well, yes.
So you know when those boundaries have been crossed.
Once you're Victoria Coren Mitchell, she made a porn film.
Okay.
And she went on a date with one of the stars.
Okay.
So because it was that all day, their dates were holding hands and walking around the park.
Right.
As innocent and anodyne as possible.
Yeah, no, I think I saw a video. It was one of those, just it's not Vice. It was just kind of one of those channels you see on YouTube where it's people react to foreign sweets or people react to drinking weird alcohol cocktail, those kind of channels.
Yeah.
And it was real people alongside porn stars. Right. I don't know whether they were talking about here's the sexual experiences of real people and the sexual experiences of porn stars or whatever it was. And the porn star was talking about having sex with a man just outside of the context of porn, and she used the word pee-pee.
Right.
And the guy was I love that porn stars use words like pee-pee.
Yeah.
But there is because it's such that workplace environment is so aggressively sexual.
Well, it's working in a chocolate factory, isn't it?
Okay.
That whole thing of I bet.
Oh right, I see you're making I thought you were making another.
No, it wasn't an anal thing.
Okay, all right.
You wouldn't eat chocolate, would you?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, when your work involves something like that, those conversations and what you do afterwards may be completely innocent.
Yeah.
Just to balance it.
Well, where can you go? You can't go anywhere past there.
No.
So you have to kind of go down, don't you?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, it's sort of with film universes or film series, isn't it? We've done the big blowouts.
Done Endgame.
Yeah, we've done Endgame. Now we're going to go small again.
Yes,
we bring it back down.
Yes.
We're not going to keep trying to go bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right.
Justice League.
Later.
Put him a pocket later. So I think that's another reason why I'm more inclined to immediately believe it, because I think a porn star would know the moment something became inappropriate. Because boundaries are so clearly defined. Yeah. Point is, she made those accusations. Obviously, Craven Moorhead was stupid, these things haven't happened. He then countersued her for $10 million, or initiated the countersue. And I think his lawyers even... Because the article said that Aria Lee was going to serve as her own attorney. I don't think it explained why. I don't know what... My assumption was either she couldn't afford her own attorney, or because she's a porn star, people are less likely to want to associate with her.
Yeah. I would have thought some lawyers do it pro bono.
Yeah, well, okay, alright.
Sorry.
You just can't help yourself.
You had to give me that one. Come on now.
I'm worried that you'll take more, though, is the problem.
That's it.
That is it?
Unless there's like one like that has to be said.
Okay. Alright, I'll let you have pro bono.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you.
But that's an assumption on my part. I don't know why she chose to be her own attorney. The point is that she did.
Okay.
And Craven Moorhead's lawyers were like, well, that's just ridiculous.
Yes.
A porn star can be a lawyer. What's next? The lawyer being a porn star?
Right.
Like, they were completely
dismissive
and mocking of the situation. I don't... Like, that trial, that hearing was supposed to happen late February. Mm. There is so little news coverage on this. I don't even know if the trial has happened.
Right.
Like, Aria Lee seems to be performing again.
Mm.
And, like, her whole... Part of, like, her video was her saying that I never want this guy to work in porn again. Mm. That's my real goal here.
Okay.
And I think he's still working.
Mm.
So I don't... maybe the case was dismissed out of court or it was thrown out. I have no idea.
Or it's just been, the details are kind of not public record.
Or they're not public record. But there was no news coverage of it.
Mm.
Basically no news coverage of it.
Well...
And that's what I mean. Like, that's a very clear... Like, whether it happened or whether or not, there is a clear story here. Like, a clear villain, a clear sympathetic party.
I think it's probably a mixture of the mainstream news are less likely to cover a story like that because, A, porn stars are their own kind of celebrities. They're not, generally known, right? Or at least generally talked about.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? They're probably... Like, Lexi Bell, Riley Reid, Tory Black...
more men probably know them.
These people are probably more famous than a lot of people who work in Hollywood. It's just the fact that nobody talks about it.
We still don't kind of touch it, yeah. Are we going to talk about porn stars on the morning news? There's that as well.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that consideration.
I don't know. I saw an episode of This Morning, which went out, it goes out like 9:30, 10:30 in the morning, where they showed a guy's penis on
That's
TV.
true, actually. That is true. Okay. You get my point. Like,
I know what you're saying. That's the thing. It's not a clean... Like, Sarah Everard, it's a clean story.
And that's the other thing, is like, do we really want to get into a porn star's accused a guy of rape?
Yeah.
Let's just not go there.
Yeah, that's a tangled web. Because we don't really understand how porn operates.
Right.
This could be happening all the time for we know.
Yes.
Or, we don't want to dig into that.
But actually, right, it would be a good public case because it's like, if there is a realm of work or life that you'd think the women would be less you get what I'm saying here? Like,
I need
where rape accusations might not necessarily be flung around a lot.
Yeah.
Okay? Because of the work environment, and like maybe it's understood that if you want to get a gig, you fuck the director.
Didn't I? I brought it up ages ago, the last time we talked about porn, which is apparently a regular feature on our podcast.
Theme,
But I saw that scene where at the very end, they left it in the edit. It was like meant to be there. They cut to like the characters, they cut to them out of character, saying like, "What's your name? Were you raped?" Like they include that in the video.
Yeah, like as a
Yeah,
exactly that. So sort of because of the world it is, and it's all about sex, and it's kind of seedy and still kind of underground in a way. It would be a good kind of test case, a good kind of plant the flag case of like, it's never acceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that anyway, but like, this is a porn star taking a guy to court.
Yeah.
The boundaries are important, even within this very sexualized.
Yeah.
So it is kind of interesting that it never...
Yeah. And again, like, to bring it back to that case of the woman who didn't hear what the guy said, and yet it ended up being a sexual harassment story. Yeah. Like, the police are looking for the guy.
Right.
It ended with them saying, if you have any information on this incident, please call the police. It's like, well, I don't know. Like, you have nothing to go on.
You give me nothing.
You give me nothing to go on. But yeah, like, I'm not saying that one is more newsworthy than the other. It's not. And it's worth... You can't just publish the most extreme story. Sometimes it's worth publishing... like minor stories as well to show that there's like to show the range of what we're dealing with here, the sheer magnitude of what we're dealing with here. But I think that's what I mean by we don't need more villains.
Well,
like there are cases out there that deserve attention, that deserve to be dealt with.
Well, you very nicely
they're not clean. You know?
No, you very nicely brought it back to the one final point that I wanted to make on this.
Okay.
When you talked about that villains, so say like. Racial activists. So racism has basically been getting better since the 60s.
Yeah.
Right? race relations, Now, that's a whole different thing. But they were getting better. So what happens when racism is pretty much the ugliest social thing you can do, right? Sin you can commit. That if someone in public life is racist, their career is over.
Yeah.
You cannot do it anymore. It's nobody really tolerates it. Remaining genuine racists are they don't speak their mind. Can we cure the world of all those secret racists? No. Okay, so what we're left with is racism in the public eye and systemic racism.
Yes.
Is there any of that left? No. It's illegal.
Yes.
So what have you got to do?
You
expand your definition.
Yeah, you need to weed them out.
Right. So this will go on forever because they need a job. Activists need something to be active about, Should we end it there?
Okay. Well, that feels like I had more to say, but that feels like a nice place to end it, doesn't it? It was going to be about the police bill anyway, so it felt like we were kind of...
Tangenting.
A little bit, yeah. We'll leave it there. I don't know how long that rant lasted for.
No.
But yeah, I hope buried within that were some points that...
food for thought.
Could be extracted.
Well, I think the thing that binds all that together is I stumble across this bit of information. Because the Sarah Everard thing, right? It fired up for a few days, and now I see nothing about it. And... they moved. It's Stop Asian Hate at the moment, right? We're not going to talk about that. But,
no. That's very new.
But I think that might be over, right?
Okay.
Because
I was just about to say that's so new that we're still learning about the
This is the point, right? I found out that the average human attention span in the year 2000 it was 12 seconds.
Okay.
In the year 2013, it was 8. So we dropped 4 seconds of attention.
Okay.
Goldfish attention span is 9 seconds.
Oh, right.
So we now have a lower attention span. And I would imagine from 2013 to 2021, it might have dipped even lower than that.
Yeah.
So we're talking, 6 seconds?
Yeah.
And I sometimes detect that in myself a little bit. I'm like, Sam, just slow down.
Yeah.
Just slow down for a second. But that's grim, innit? That is grim.
Yeah.
But that, again, it explains sort of everything, doesn't it? Angry, move on. Move on.
Oh, another thing to be angry about.
Right. Yeah, let's hunt this person, snipe this person.
Because that's... no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to get more into it.
No, but again, just feed back to that point of there are no more racists. Okay, so what can we do? Let's go back through someone's old tweets and see if they've ruined their career forever. Yeah. Okay. Do you want to talk about the Grammys?
Okay, let's talk about the Grammys. Let's talk about something else.
Something else. Yeah, I mean, it's another culture war issue, I suppose.
Oh, God.
This is it. This is the decade of the culture war.
Yeah,
last decade as well. But, this is a bit funnier, though.
Okay.
So, Bill Burr...
Oh, I know. Okay.
You know about this.
I don't know. Is this funnier?
It is funny. It is funny. So he was presenting the award for Best Latin Female Vocalist, something like that.
Okay.
Because they've got the Latin Grammy component of it.
Yeah.
And he basically said, the first bit isn't really relevant, and then he read out the winner's name and he couldn't pronounce it, and he completely botched it.
Okay.
And then kind of made fun of himself for botching it. And then he came, I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. All these feminists online why is this cis white male doing this? And then, of course, that's exactly what happened.
Right.
And because he couldn't pronounce this name that I think I wouldn't be able to pronounce seeing it there for the first time.
Okay.
It's like Lafricade or something. It looks French more than anything.
Okay.
But he couldn't do it. And this guy he tweeted this thing, and it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was just because Bill Burr's married to a black woman, it doesn't mean you can't have a minority sex slave or something like that.
What?
Yeah, genuinely. It's he can be a racist. It's right, you've just won Twitter for the worst thing ever.
Lost...
won it.
Won Twitter.
For what Twitter is, he won it.
Yeah.
Cesspit. Every time I look, more cess. Every time.
Has she seen that? Has his wife seen that?
Yeah, she tweeted back basically something along the lines of, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Because it's utter bullshit, isn't it? We talked about that. But anyway.
What was he saying? Was he saying that, Bill Burr is a racist, that's why he's married her, so that he can have a slave?
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it has a mixed race. I assume mixed. Well, obviously mixed.
Yeah, it would be mixed race.
I don't know how the child looks.
Yeah.
I think she looks mixed race.
Okay.
She's kind of light.
Well, he's very white. He's very
white.
Black.
She's very black. So I imagine the baby is mocha.
Yeah.
Yes, has a child with her and everything. Yeah. Anyway, all that stuff is. But the point being, I just want to make a quick list of things that are currently acceptable and unacceptable.
Okay.
So, acceptable. Giving hormones to children.
Okay. This is more fun, is it?
Yeah, it is.
This is the nicer conversation
I started with that, didn't I?
Okay.
Burning shit.
Okay.
So that at the Grammys, there's a rapper, and like his whole song was about like, oh, fuck America, fuck the police, and like as a building burned in the background.
Okay.
WAP.
Yes.
Which was two women gyrating on each other on stage.
Yeah.
Things aren't acceptable.
Okay.
Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
The Golden Girls.
Is it because of that one episode, or has more occurred?
No, just that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Potato Head.
What?
Because it's a Mister, so now it comes without a mustache.
But there's a female version.
Yeah, but you know,
Mrs. Potato Head.
Yeah, but it's Mister.
Does she come without tits?
Ovaries.
What does Mr. Potato Head have?
Mrs. It's just like a flower on a hat, isn't it?
Oh, she come without the flower.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Okay.
Dumbo.
What's he done?
Racist.
What? Oh, is there like dated imagery?
No idea. I saw Dumbo recently and I didn't pick up on anything.
Okay. Is it the pink elephants?
Was that an analogy?
Well, that's obviously like drunk, isn't it? Pink elephants
right.
is like a I don't know whether it's a colloquial term for being drunk or, but that's the point. Dumbo gets drunk and he has that like.
Oh, it's not that. I think it's racial. Whatever it is, it's racial.
Okay. Oh, are there? I haven't seen Dumbo in a while, but isn't there like the people who work for the circus or like the workers of the circus?
Right.
Are they like singing? Are they in chains or are they singing like?
I honestly don't know.
Slave songs or something.
I don't know.
Okay.
Peter Pan. Native American.
Is he? Wait, who's
No, they're like Native American elements in Peter Pan.
Okay.
Like appropriation of the culture. I don't know. Uncle Ben.
Fried rice.
The rice, yeah.
Okay. Oh, I said that's a joke. I thought like, why does Spider-Man have to lose his Uncle Ben? But no, it's the rice.
Yeah, the rice, yeah.
Okay.
You know about that. Like, it was a black guy and it was seen as wrong for some reason.
Okay. So you're gonna take away a black guy.
Yeah.
Take
away an opportunity.
A brand that is represented by a minority. You're gonna take that away.
Yeah.
All right.
Gina Carano. And J.K. Rowling.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So these are the things that are unacceptable.
Yeah.
Acceptable. Burning shit down. Giving hormones to children and wet ass pussy.
Yeah.
Now the only reason I bring that up really is that juxtaposition, right? And I'm not the first to point it out, but kids are now more likely to see WAP than they are to see Dumbo.
Yeah. Or read Dr. Seuss.
This is, and again, I'm not the first to make this point, it's a culture in decline. There is, Ben Shapiro made this point. He said cultures have had high and low culture, but he's never seen a culture that called its low culture high culture.
Yeah.
So wet ass pussy is considered high culture. It's making a point.
Are you sure it's high culture?
Absolutely. Yeah, like it's considered the most important kind of. It's making a political statement and a feminist statement.
That can't be right.
It is, mate.
People who like wet ass pussy must know that it's.
They might know the lyrics are kind of ridiculous and vulgar.
Yeah.
But the point that the song is making. This is it, like treating those things like they're important, and like Harry Styles wearing a feather boa means anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you know that it's like this is the last days of Rome. I can't remember who talked about this, but when like interest was waning in the Colosseum games, they were getting more and more just elaborate, bringing ships and like all these elephants and just like fucking get the shit in.
Yeah.
And that is the sign of a culture in decline.
Right.
And I think WAP is our version of that.
Okay.
Because, like, what else do you need to show that we're fucked? A song called Wet Ass Pussy be considered important.
Didn't you say that she won Artist of the Year?
Megan Thee Stallion won Artist of the Year. Now, I know we've talked before about the weirdness that artist seems to be reserved for singers.
Yeah,
or,
what else? Especially in the case of Megan Thee Stallion. What can you possibly call her? She's not a singer.
She's not a singer.
She shouldn't even sing in Wet Ass Pussy, does she?
She's not a musician.
No, because she doesn't play anything.
She
probably doesn't know what music is.
No.
They just put her in a room and she makes noises and they make it work.
She's barely a human being.
Yeah.
That's not a racial thing, by the way.
No,
that's
just like you
vapid.
Yeah, watch Wet Ass Pussy. People don't behave like that.
Yeah. She won New Artist of the Year.
Okay. New artist.
Yeah. Not Artist of the Year. But still, even New Artist of the Year.
Yeah, that's still a stretch, but at least it's not like, of all the artists...
No, okay.
She is the best one now.
Okay.
At least it's not that.
I mean, it's not much better, though, I can imagine. I don't know who won it.
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, like, look, this person is the best person who's, like, coming into this fresh.
Yes.
Like, of all the people, of the next generation of the industry, she's the person we like the most right now.
Megan Thee Stallion.
That's depressing.
Yes.
But it's less depressing than she is the best person of all the people they currently are.
Give it a year.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's going to be someone completely different next year.
No, I mean, she'll win Best Artist of the Year.
Oh, she'll win. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay, all right. Oh, dear. Oh, dearie me.
This podcast is presiding over the doom of Western civilization. This is what we are for.
In between our film reviews.
In between the film reviews.
Let's talk about a crime thriller now. Let's talk about how everything's going to shit.
That is the kind of the perverse irony, isn't it? We're talking about, like, Saint Maud and I Care a Lot of films we really liked.
Yeah.
Against this shit.
Yeah.
But people care more about the shit than they do about, you know. Okay, let's do Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Speaking of shit.
Speaking
of...
later. At the end of the review.
No, speaking of, you were talking about, like, at the end of Rome, like, the Colosseum stuff was becoming more elaborate. They were just throwing anything and everything at the screen.
Yeah.
Well, not at the screen, but, you know, at the
The
people.
audience,
Yeah. I think that might be a nice segue into Justice League.
Yeah, everything and the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Should we contextualise it?
More than we already have. What do we contextualise?
Well, I ain't seen Justice League.
You ain't seen Justice
No.
League. I saws.
You saw Justice League.
I saws Justice League. Forgot it immediately.
Yeah.
My only memory of it is kept alive through, like, Red Letter Media's review and, like, a couple of other reviews I've seen as well.
Yeah.
Regarding the film. I remember there were two moments... I broadly remembered some of the beats, enough so that when we were watching Zack Snyder's version, I knew when things were being messed around with a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's right out of the gate. Like, this is not the type of film where, like, the films are basically in alignment, but then, like, oh, that 10 minutes is different. But now we're back. Like, no, the whole film is being moved around from the start. It's completely different.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I remember two moments from Justice League. Only one of them made it into the Snyder cut.
All right. Okay.
And it's the moment where the Flash is running up to Superman, and Superman, like, matches his speed. Like, he looks at him. And,
right.
Which I remember at the time, a lot of people framing that as, oh, that's a Joss Whedon moment. Because that's, like, an interesting little character beat.
Sure.
Zack Snyder wouldn't have done that.
Right.
And then there's another moment where, during the final fight... Throughout Justice League, there's this, like, family that live in that area that they keep cutting back to them, like that guy from Sicario, I guess. Like, you keep cutting back to him throughout the film.
Who's in The Americans?
Is he?
Yeah, he was the Amador that gets killed in the first season.
Oh yeah,
Stan's partner.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you keep hang on. What are we talking about? Is he he's the Mexican cop? Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm just remembering him differently. Okay.
Yeah, bald guy.
Yeah, no, I trust you. I had no memory of him in Sicario.
He's also in... Oh no, it's not quite relevant. I was going to say he's in a bunch of Avengers movies, but this is DC, so...
Yeah, this is DC. Yeah, so there's a family that they keep cutting back to, and when the final fight is happening, they're kind of trapped in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So there's a moment where they're trying to get away in their car, they're about to be killed just by the collateral damage, and the Flash, like, grabs the vehicle and, like, runs with it really fast and takes them out to a safe distance.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're all right, you're safe. And then in the background, you see Superman carrying an entire apartment block full of people to safety.
Right.
A fun Joss Whedon character beat. Joss Whedon style character beat.
Yeah.
Which isn't in the Snyder cut at all.
Okay.
Nor is any character or charm whatsoever. Feels like that seems to be the thing that's lost. Well, a lot of, I'm surprised how much was lost from the old Justice League. I thought it would be everything that the Justice League was and then more stuff on top of that.
Yeah.
But a lot seemed to be lost in translation.
Robbed of it, yeah. Well, let's start with the Joss Whedon thing then.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people are saying, I don't get how people prefer Whedon, and I'm going to say this because you read out some reviews to me as we were watching audience reviews, crucially, online. That none of them were fully literate, so I'm thinking of sock puppet foreign hires to
every Rotten. I went through about 4 or 5 pages of Rotten Tomato reviews because this film has been out for 2 days.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
like
and there are 25,000 audience reviews.
Yeah, that's review the virtuous version of review bombing.
Yeah. Sam's Lexicorner moment. Do you want to come up with?
Oh, pressure! I will think of one.
Okay. Make sure you do as well.
Yeah, I will. Remind me if I.
Yeah, don't forget about it.
It's the Joss Whedon thing, right?
Well, I was going to say, I read out every 5-star review I read out on those 5 pages. There is not a single one that didn't contain at least 2 or 3 spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
All of them had spelling mistakes.
I'm just going to say, I say this without reservation, having sat through 4 hours of Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you really enjoyed that film, you are retarded. Okay?
I feel like even if you didn't enjoy the film, you'd be retarded by the end of the Justice League.
Oh, it retards you.
We were retarded.
We were retarded.
Like, that's the whole... Like, that's how we started the podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like, my brain... I'm retarded now. So you're going to have to bear with us.
Bear with us as we unretard.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. Unlike, Zack Snyder is better than, Joss Whedon or the Snyder Cut. Each to their own, okay?
Sure, yeah.
But, I'm sorry. Joss Whedon, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
He co-wrote Toy Story.
Yes.
Angel.
Yeah.
Firefly.
Yeah.
The Avengers.
Yes.
The Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder has never done anything good ever.
What is the best thing?
Dawn of the Dead.
That's the best thing he's ever done.
And that's
the
not
first
that good.
thing he did.
Yeah, and that's not that good.
Back when he wasn't allowed to be full Zack Snyder.
Right. It was Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen, that owl movie, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Was that him?
That was him, yeah.
Okay. Oh, Sucker Punch, don't forget
Sucker Punch. And then all the DC stuff, right?
Yeah.
He's never made anything good.
Okay.
Ever. He's a fetishist. He's a fanboy.
Yeah.
He has no sense of anything good. Yeah, he's a wanker, frankly, and I'm really sorry about his personal life, but that gives him no leeway creatively, frankly. And you know what? I think a lot of the good reviews for this film, we said at the end, the film ends, you've sat through 4 hours of it feeling emotionally drained, not because what the film has put you through, just you've put yourself through it.
Yeah.
And then it says, for autumn. Like, you're emotionally blackmailing me into liking it.
Well, we were thinking about that, weren't we?
Yeah.
Like, how many times did he not directly say... It's not like he said, oh, my daughter's dead, so you have to do this film for me.
I'm just going to say, I'll give him the credit. He never said that or used that as a thing. But I think everyone just couldn't say no because of that.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, all right.
Yeah.
There's no way Ben Affleck wanted to do it, is there?
Absolutely not.
And that's
I think that's apparent from the moment he's in this film. You're like, okay, I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's a lot of people felt bad for him because of what happened. Rightfully so. It was a horrible situation.
Like, little worse.
Yeah. Like, you'd want to be supportive of that guy.
Yeah.
In, any guy in that situation.
Just stop making films. It's fine.
Don't put yourself through this, Zack. I think it's that. It's people were really empathetic towards him.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel bad for you. Anything you need. Oh, well, I'm remaking Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
All right.
I thought you just meant I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah, we give you certain leash, Zack. You're not making Justice League.
So I think it's that.
Yeah.
And I think I can imagine, I'm sure this has been framed as this is a victory for directors. Because Justice League was like a product that was taken away from Zack Snyder, and Joss Whedon reworked it into something that was incomplete and incohesive. Even though, it became clear to me, watching it, it's like he was trying his best. Like, he clearly couldn't start again.
No.
That's what he would have wanted in an ideal world. He started again. But, seeing all of the stuff that he added being zapped from the film, it was clear that he was trying to mold it into something else.
It was an act of cultural terrorism, wasn't it? I mean, I haven't seen the original, but I feel like if I'd watched it cold, I would know the Whedon bits. Yeah, him carrying the apartment is a straight up Whedon. Yeah. He's a good writer, Yeah. He is a really good writer.
He has an instinct for certain things. He's not... They're not all wins.
No.
But Age of Ultron is not a win.
No, but he can do groups of superheroes.
Yeah, he's proved that with the Avengers.
Yes.
And we did that, weren't we? There were a couple of times where we were like, in Avengers, the film started this way, and it did this, and it did this.
Yeah.
And by half an hour or whatever it was, everyone's together.
Well,
and half hour into this film, we haven't even met half the characters yet.
It's public record on this podcast that I'm not a big fan of Marvel films.
No.
And the way they,
You've embargoed us from talking about Marvel.
I know. The oversaturation of like Endgame and when they're on the different planet and the effects and oh man, it's exhausting. I've got a fresh appreciation for the restraint of Endgame.
Yeah.
After watching Justice League.
Imagine that Endgame feeling restrained.
I know, like the Avengers. I liked it, never loved it. I'm like, I should get it on DVD. It needs to be reappraised. The Avengers, because after this shit.
Yeah. And sort of that was a feature of like the reviews as well. Was of people saying like, oh, the effects don't look rushed, they look great. Like, so and like the CG looks spectacular. It's like Thanos is a completely CG character, and he is a character. He's not like Caesar, but he's like just below Caesar as like a believable, plausible creature.
Yes.
Steppenwolf was fucking hideous.
Oh man, worse than the video game, as you said, right? The film is horrible looking.
Yeah.
It's horrible to look at. Everything's muted. Nothing's real. Even the sky... nothing. Nothing is real.
Was there a single shot in this film that was practical?
I think we said there was a moment where the camera was on a cup of tea.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my god, it's real.
Yeah.
And then it panned up and the background was...
completely CG.
So, nothing. And that, it makes me feel a bit sick. It's like overindulging on sugar. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like Zack Snyder, like it's a very deliberate aesthetic. I'm not saying like, oh, he's trying to.
Yeah, but it's very artificial.
Yeah, and it's clearly supposed to be stylized, but there's a lack of plausibility to his stylization. There isn't a single sky in this film that looks real.
But it's supposed to be mature as well. Think of that.
Yeah,
this film is meant for adults.
That's the culture. They say fuck. They say shit.
Yeah,
there's blood.
Yeah. It's right.
And they swear pretty early, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Batman like, I'm not fucking with you or something?
No, I think the bank robber says to the children he's threatening to murder, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because Zack Snyder does not understand tone at all.
No, he doesn't.
It's the worst thing about him. He does not get tone.
No.
Like Watchmen, there's that whole sequence where Rorschach, he comes across that paedophile, which is from the graphic novels. Like, do not give that to Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Like, he can't deal with that sort of stuff. There's a film called Shoah, right? And it's a documentary by Claude Lanzmann, I think his name is.
Okay.
About the Holocaust.
Okay.
And it's a 9-hour definitive. This was the Holocaust.
Right.
Considered a modern masterpiece, all that sort of thing. A few years later, Schindler's List came out, which was, of course, widely loved and one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah.
And the director of this said, I didn't think, I thought Shoah disallowed any film about the Holocaust be made ever again. Not because it was so good, but like, I treated it with the time it needed.
Yeah.
And so to make a 3-hour film, it's like you're spitting on it almost.
Yeah.
This is how I felt about this. Like, we had The Dark Knight, and now you go make a 4-hour film with Batman in it. It's like, we had our thing. How dare you?
That's the thing, though. Batman isn't in this film.
But yeah.
Like, he is, but he has nothing.
No, nothing. Yeah.
He turns up like 4 or 5 times, I think, over the course of the film, and it's just Ben Affleck looking miserable in the corner.
Oh, he does. He's like mopey, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I do not want to be here.
Yeah. But like when we're saying like, oh, it's a victory for directors, because yes, Justice League was taken away from Zack Snyder and turned into this heartless, soulless product,
right?
And now he's being afforded the opportunity to show everyone what his version of Justice League was.
Yeah,
and that's why we should champion it, because it's giving filmmakers a chance.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a world where Zack Snyder is my champion.
Absolutely not. No. I gotta say, it's not morally reprehensible.
No.
Other than the tonal issues, which are like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's more like childish, like a disappointed parent sort of thing. It's not a Michael Bay film, but
okay,
in that way, as in it doesn't sexualize things.
Yeah. Michael Bay's films are childish, aren't they?
Well, but they're for teenage boys, though. That's the thing.
I guess that's what I mean. They're kind of they're childish in the sense that they feel almost like they've been made by a child.
Yeah. What like, 14-year-old boy, what do you want to see in a film?
Yeah, it's just excess.
Yeah.
Constant excess, which this is.
But
it conducts itself in a way that suggests it's trying not to be that. There's like multiple scenes. Many scenes in this film, just in general.
Yeah.
But like the Flash's introductory scene, I suppose, where he's delivering a resume to a dog shelter, which is never mentioned in the film again.
Nope.
But there's a moment where he.
Was that the thing at the end? The resume? Was it his resume?
I don't know why.
Oh, I don't know.
The father would be so happy he's working at a dog shelter.
I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Because isn't Barry Manilow, what's he called?
Allen.
Barry Allen, isn't he like a genius? Like a tech genius or something? I don't know. It must be to have built the suit, because he built the suit.
Did he build the suit? I thought Bruce Wayne built the suit.
No, Bruce Wayne was like... How?
Oh, you built the suit?
Yeah, I see you have the suit here. Explain it to me.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
There's a scene where a girl drives away from the shop and this truck drives across an intersection and they kind of collide with each other. So the Flash runs out to save her, to save this person. And it's he's running really quickly and it's supposed to be like this. And he saves her. And then the glass shatters on the door because he has to run out. And then everyone, when time goes back to normal, everyone's in shock and the Flash is just in the corner playing with the dogs. Oh man, what happened there? That was a weird moment. It's supposed to be a fun, cool comic book moment to introduce the character and his abilities. But as soon as he starts running quickly, with all his lightning shooting out from him and all that, and him shattering the glass so fast that it looks like liquid, and it's playing this really depressing, melancholic song. What is this?
They did that kind of every.
What is the tone of this?
Yeah, exactly. Every character got their version of that.
Yeah,
and it's just this kind of it's fetishized, not in a sexual way, but that 14-year-old boy wanking over the iconography of Aquaman in front of the oceans, and that's what Zack Snyder is. He's a 14-year-old kid making a film.
It's not cool. And
it's epic, isn't it? It's
But no, epic would be orchestral, heavy orchestral, or just a really punchy riff, not just this melancholic, almost operatic singing with no, it's not operatic. It's indie.
It's Amen Man.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
Indie, indie guitar.
Yeah. Noodly.
Yeah, songs to cut yourself to.
Yes, exactly.
That's not
I suppose I mean epic in that sense. I suppose Thor to I don't mean that. I mean it's somberly. I tell you what, he's going for tableaus, isn't he?
Okay.
Everything Zack Snyder does, it's supposed to be a tableau, this awesome slow-mo tableau. And as soon all the Flash sequences in the film made me realise why he wanted to do a Justice League film. Ample opportunity for slow-mo.
Yeah.
With the Flash. Intricate detail, every little thing that he's going past.
You remember the second episode of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place? Yeah. Remember how there's a joke in that episode? Because the idea of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, well, I won't even attempt to unpack it.
Just watch it.
Yeah.
Unqualified recommendation.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's he's running in slow motion through the hospital to get to the final confrontation, and then it cuts to the producer. This is all in character. It's a weird show to explain.
It is,
but it cuts to somebody who's being interviewed about that scene, and they say all of the episodes that we delivered to the network, they were all running 6 minutes under, so we had to fill the episodes with slow motion to get them up to broadcastable length. And I'm just thinking of that. The whole time, whenever we went into slow motion, which was every 5 fucking seconds.
Yeah.
It's okay, if this film was running at normal speed, it'd be over in an hour.
I know. Yeah, we kept doing that, thinking St. Maud would have been over.
Yeah, it's I would have finished St. Maud by now. I could have put on I Care a Lot straight away, and that would be finished,
4x3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, that's deliberate.
Yeah, it's his vision.
Because, let's just say it, we streamed it illegally, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. We weren't going to give Zack Snyder.
No.
I mean, we wouldn't be giving our money to it.
No.
Unless HBO Max are charging for it.
I just feel a subscription. Subscriber.
Okay, because Disney Plus, they have subscription fees, but you have to buy certain films as well. Yeah.
I would imagine it's just available to anyone who's a subscriber. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not I won't give my money. It's I don't even want him to give him my view. I don't want to be part of the statistics of people
that will justify a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, we didn't. We were creative in the way that we watched this.
Yes. So we thought, it might be a dodgy.
Yeah, we thought we were dealing with a dodgy copy. So I googled it, and they said yes, the 4:3 aspect ratio is deliberate because it's there to preserve Zack Snyder's vision of the film.
Yeah.
What?
Well, okay. The only thing
I tell you why it's because 4:3 is a
panel.
Well, yes, you put that to me. It's it's a comic book panel.
Yeah.
It's it might be actually.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's a pretentious
novelty.
Good filmmakers, great filmmakers make films in 4:3.
The thing is, 4:3 films tend to be indies, or they tend to be films that want to inculcate a certain claustrophobia.
Yeah.
And are filmed according to that limitation.
Yes.
Right? Is First Reformed 4x3?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't. The example that came immediately to mind was A Ghost Story.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
Ben Affleck, right?
Casey.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
I was like, the connections, but no.
I rewatched that recently. Holds up, brilliant film. Have you watched it?
No, I never got around to it.
It's really good.
I know. It's a film that I was disappointed to miss, but I know that I have to endure the pie eating scene.
Fast forward through it.
Okay.
You miss nothing, honestly.
Okay.
But yeah, no, A Ghost Story, brilliant film.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, and it uses that to its...
It's both. It's an indie film
of
a certain quality, and it's to create that sense of claustrophobia, isn't it?
A film like Justice League, which I guess ideally designed for cinemas...
Yeah. IMAX, ultra-wide...
Yeah. When you put that much stuff into 4x3, it makes you kind of choke on it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, again, oversaturated, and it makes it look like a bad copy. Because, clearly a film of this scope was designed for widescreen.
Yeah.
But no, he wanted it that way.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in the film to suggest why, really.
No, yeah, it's not like, this is an intimate story.
No,
which is why we've gone with such an intimate aspect ratio.
I think it's just that. I think it's wouldn't it be cool because the comic book panel, they're square, and it'd be like the movie is a square, so it's like the comic book panel. That's what it is. Whack
okay.
Dickhead. Yeah. There were attempts at humour in it.
There were, which I was surprised by, because I know that, the initial reveal for Justice League at Comic-Con, it wasn't a trailer. It was kind of half a trailer, and then they started showing scenes a bit they were kind of running through scenes almost.
Okay.
When Batman first meets the Flash, I think they played that scene out mostly in its entirety.
Okay.
As a vertical slice almost.
Yeah.
And I think there was a bit of humour in that. So I think a lot of people were saying in the wake of the terrible, terrible, terrible reception of Batman v Superman. Because let's not forget, even if Zack Snyder didn't have to leave under the circumstance that he left, they were probably planning to get rid of him anyway. Yeah. Because of just how badly everything was being received.
Well, when this was first announced, I distinctly recall us saying, is there any way in hell it's going to be even marginally better than the original? We were correct.
Yes. And all of the reviews that we read on Rotten Tomatoes would beg to differ.
Yeah,
but
reviews.
Yes, the original is incoherent in places, and it doesn't make sense, and it feels cobbled together.
Yeah,
it feels like it's being pulled in two different directions. But it's only 2 hours.
Exactly. I think I said to you as we were watching it, if you gave me the choice of having to sit through that again or have my balls kicked repeatedly for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I know the balls thing would be experientially worse.
Yes.
But it'd be over in 10 minutes.
But it'd be over in 10 minutes, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they'd still be aching after those 10 minutes.
But my mind is aching.
Yes, exactly. We are spaghetti brains.
Spaghetti brains.
Mashed potato brains, whichever one was worse.
Yeah, but those attempts at humour, I turned to you and I said, in a film of this tone, it feels like a joke at a funeral.
Yeah, but that was my point. After the bad reception of Batman v Superman, a lot of people theorised that was Warner Brothers intervening. Right. They were saying to Zack Snyder, make it a bit more funny, because people don't like just how morose these films are. So add a bit of humour in there.
Yeah.
And obviously that was ramped up a little bit in the Joss Whedon version, where there was more humour. So I thought, when Zack Snyder... Because I'm assuming he had total creative control.
I would have thought so, yeah.
So I assumed that he would be like, well, I never wanted the humour anyway, so fuck it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it all. So I'm surprised that it made it in there. But I'm not surprised that it wasn't humorous in the slightest. Not just humorous, it was, jarring.
Well, it's like the songs. I mean, they were described by a reviewer as immersive.
Oh my
They're
God.
Ex-mersive. It's the opposite of immersive. It completely, it disturbingly snapped
Wonder
me out of
Woman's,
what was happening.
wail.
Oh, Wonder Woman. Oh, Wonder Woman. Man, I am so sick of Wonder Woman.
Every shot, I think, not just scene, every shot with Wonder Woman is accompanied by this kind of ghostly wail.
And her arc seems to be, she's awesome, right? And then the next scene, she's awesome,
Which I don't remember in the original. I don't remember Wonder Woman being treated with this kind of, being put on this pedestal the way that she is.
Yeah, and obviously the first Wonder Woman film had a positive reception. Yeah. Sequel, not so good, but not terrible. I don't get the Wonder Woman thing. Like Gal Gadot, people really think that she's not a good actress.
No.
You're right, she looks the part, but she's not a good actress. She can barely pronounce her lines.
Yeah.
And
it's funny as well, isn't it? How, because she can't, whether she can't or doesn't want to, she's speaking in her native accent.
Yeah, Israeli.
So whether she can't get rid of it or whether she just doesn't want to put
Yeah.
And so everyone on that island that she's from has to mimic that ridiculous accent.
Yeah. And the thing that summarised it for me was we're spoiling it. I mean, fuck it. You know, I know. There's nothing.
This is a 4-year-old film.
I know, 4-year-old. Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. It's a this story was told 4 years ago.
Quick tangent. I said that to you, didn't I? That I have never seen Justice League.
No,
but I've seen clips and stuff from it and just know of it.
Yeah.
And you just forget that I'm meant to be watching the origin film again.
Yeah,
I'm done with these characters already.
Yeah, you were saying like it feels like I've been seeing Barry, whatever his name is, Ezra Miller.
Yeah, Ezra Miller. Yeah.
It feels like I've been seeing Ezra Miller's Flash for years, and yet this is when we're first meeting him. Supposed to be first meeting.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing to point out. I'll let you finish your point now. But Jason Momoa and Patty Jenkins, so Aquaman and the director of the Wonder Woman films, have like gone on public record saying that Zack Snyder's film is canon to them.
Yes. Okay.
Patty Jenkins wrote her films or directed her films with the knowledge that she was following on from Zack Snyder's stories.
Right.
So whether Warner Brothers will double down on this is another matter, but it seems like they're pushing Joss Whedon's version out of canon, which is really interesting because like we talked a couple of episodes, didn't we, about there seems to be this new trend in media in general where everything is canon now.
Yeah.
They did it with Spider-Verse, which is like that's the point of that film, so fine. They started doing that with DC because Joker did really well. So they were like, oh, it's not in the DCEU, but all of these films are happening in like parallel universes. So it's basically you could view it as all one continuity if you want. Now they're doing it with Spider-Man in the MCU.
Yeah.
The new Sonic the Hedgehog TV show that's coming out on Netflix is called Sonic Prime, and that's apparently dealing with multiple dimensions. So it looks like that's going to be everything is canon.
Right.
Crash Bandicoot 4, I talked about that. About how this game is clearly positioning itself as the 4th installment, and yet there's plenty of references to Twinsanity and all the games that came around that era.
So we've gone from trying to replicate the universe thing, so like Universal Monster Movie Universe.
Movie Mongs.
Yeah, Movie Mongs. Universe. Yeah, so now like, oh no, we'll take our existing properties and say they're all part of the one.
Yeah. And like the properties that we're like writing out of canon, as it were, we want people to still be able to enjoy those and still feel validated.
And watch it. Yeah, don't know what
they count.
Yeah. It's like again, it's just expanding the thing of like, no, they count. They're all part. It's all part of the one man.
Crash to Insanity is still there. It's okay. It still happens somewhere.
You can't just enjoy a thing and leave it. Anyway. The Wonder Woman thing at the end, when they kill Steppenwolf, Aquaman sort of delivers the killing blow. He kind of pierces him through the heart with his trident. Yeah. And then Superman sort of punches him through a vortex, where he's going to die. You know? But then, just as he's about to leave, Wonder Woman just pipes up out of nowhere and slices his head off. They had to give her the last word, didn't they?
Steppenwolf was dead, right?
Yeah, dead.
Like,
absolutely.
Superman was a stretch, because Aquaman fucking stabbed this guy.
Yeah, he's just like getting rid of him, basically. Yeah. Like, fuck off.
Yeah. But no, Wonder Woman had to have that final blow.
And it's that line earlier, isn't it, when she saves the kids that's been threatened at gunpoint told to shut the fuck up, but should be traumatized and like.
Well, I thought she was, because everyone else is like standing up and like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But there's that one kid that's like staying on the ground with like 1,000 yards stare.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman just walks up to her, and the girl looks up and it's completely fine now. Yeah. And she's just like, can I be like you someday?
Yeah. To which the answer is no.
Yeah.
You actually can't.
You weren't moulded out of clay by fucking Zeus.
Yeah.
You don't have a sword and a shield that were like carved by the gods.
Yeah.
You don't have superpowers.
Yeah.
No, you fucking can't.
I'm all for no glass ceiling, but there is like a divine ceiling. Yes. You can't cross it. You can't, what's the word? Surmount the sky. You can't surmount the sky.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I hated her. I hate the Gal Gadot thing. I think she in life acts like I'm Wonder Woman. You know, like thinks it's really important. And you said like the Comic-Con thing of.
Yeah, I think it was her first panel, maybe. Yeah. I think they were talking... Yeah, they must have been... No, they might have been for Batman v Superman.
Is that the one where she's saying, it's like really important roles for women? And Jesse Eisenberg next to her is like, what? Fuck off.
Yeah, basically. Someone rolls their eyes or something. But yeah, like, it's important that women should have a role model in cinema. It's good that that's finally happening.
Yeah.
I mean, how many films could we name that came out before Wonder Woman?
Oh, I know.
Like, after Wonder Woman, like, there's a different, like, oh, well, they came after Wonder Woman, so her statement still stands. But no, like, the amount of, like, female-led...
I know.
They are out there.
Yeah, they are.
Just because they're not immediately in your field of vision, just because, like, oh, but there aren't Marvel movies. Most Marvel movies aren't female-led. Yeah. It's like, well, then keep looking. They're out there.
They are out there, yeah.
Maybe, okay... I'm willing to admit they're not as plentiful as male-led films, or like they're not female-focused stories.
If we're talking about action movies, there aren't as plentiful female action stars.
No,
you know what I mean. It's as simple as that. Again, it's coming back to that.
But those films are out there. You're just not looking.
They are out there. Yeah, I mean, Haywire, Lucy, The Fifth Element,
Aliens.
Aliens. Yeah. What was the thing I was going to say? Thelma and Louise. Like, that was the watershed thing. Well, Alien was really, but Thelma and Louise is the definitive female empowerment film. After that, plenty, loads. Yeah. Okay, maybe they're not a comic book. Anyway.
It's because they're not the biggest thing going, and because they're not cool.
And because not, I suppose.
I don't recall Thelma and Louise, but I don't think that's like a cool movie.
Oh, it kind of is. Yeah, yeah. It's got a really cool ending. It's the two of them drive into the canyon together.
Oh, I must be thinking of something else.
I don't know. It is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
And you say that without hesitation.
No, it is one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Does it annoy you that... Because we talked about The Irishman like quite a few episodes back, and I really don't remember which episode. We might even have still been recording on the phone.
Well, that would have been 2019, so yeah.
Yeah, we were still recording on the phone. Yeah. That's how far back we're going. Yeah, we talked about The Irishman, and obviously that's 3 hours 20 or 3.5 hours or something like that. And I think your final statement on the film was, go watch it. It'd be nice to commit to something. Yeah. It's a good intellectual exercise to sit down and watch
a comfort zone,
to watch a 3.5 hour film.
Yeah.
Does it annoy you that the exact people that statement would be targeted at are the exact people that would have sat down and just happily watched the 4.5 hour Justice League movie?
It does a bit.
Yeah.
It does a bit.
The amount of people on Rotten Tomatoes would be like, oh, it doesn't feel like 4 hours at all. No, it feels like 20.
The people that think epic just means long.
Yeah.
With a lot of stuff. Yeah.
We were like, St. Maud is over by now, and the inciting incident still hasn't happened.
I know sometimes we go like, oh, this film's 3 hours and this film is 2 hours. Look what it does in comparison. Fine. But even look at 3 hour films. The Godfather, those Schindler's List is shorter than this film.
Yeah.
197 minutes Schindler's List is, right? Like, there's no excuse, frankly.
That was one of the Rotten Tomato reviews, wasn't it? Like, I don't understand how critics can say this film is bad. There are films that are like 3 hours long, like Lawrence of Arabia. Yeah. And critics like those.
It's like a dick, innit? It's not how long it is, it's how you use it.
Yes.
That's the whole thing. It's...
Right?
Yeah, sure.
Right. Yeah, that's how it works, right?
That's what we're told, yeah. That's what we must insist upon.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I know apples and oranges, like each film is its own beast, but there is no excuse for a 4 hour comic book movie.
No.
There just isn't.
There's a sketch by, I think it's Ryan George. He's the guy who does the pitch meetings on Screen Rant on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's got his own channel where it's exactly the same format. It's him talking to himself.
Right.
But they're broader sketches.
Okay.
So it's like the first guy to ever open a restaurant, and it's like making fun of how, like, when you think about it, the idea of a restaurant's kind of weird.
The absurdities of...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think the sketch it's something like, the first guy to tell a story.
Right.
Or something like that. So he just makes it. These two people are talking, and this one guy makes something up on the spot, and the guy he's talking to is like, "Oh my god, that was great! Tell me another. Do that again.
Right.
Do that thing you were just doing again."
Okay.
So he tells like a similar story, and then he's like, he brings in another guy. He's like, "Listen to this guy talk. We should pay you to listen to you."
Right. Okay.
And like, it's like the one of the main jokes running through the sketch is every time he tells a story, there's like a black screen with like 1 hour later. And like as the sketch is going along, they get progressively longer. So it's like 1 hour later, 1 hour 30, 2 hours later, 3 hours. And the stories always end the same way.
Okay.
It's him like, and then the bad guy jumps over the bad guy, snaps his neck and saves the day.
Okay.
So it's the same conclusion, implying that it's the same story.
Yes.
But it's just getting longer and longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
And now we've got a real life
version of
equivalent of that.
Yeah.
I mean, this story, there are there's differences. There are differences. I'm not going to say it's the same movie, but we basically end up in the same place.
Okay.
I really don't know what this film fixed, you know?
It didn't. It just indulged the fetish that he got to do 5 minute long they're all together now shots.
Yeah.
Literally 5 minute long. Mood swelling as he obsessed over each
intro
character.
where Superman is dying.
Yeah.
Which...
Oh, God.
That was fucking great, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's our review. Is that sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally... It's Superman being stabbed at the end of Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
And of course it's in slow motion.
Yeah.
And the shockwaves of Superman's death are reverberating across the planet, I think.
Yeah.
So we get a glimpse of all the characters we're eventually going to meet reacting to the sound of Superman dying.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know it's Superman dying, we get to see their reaction. And it's Superman screaming, but it comes in like waves.
Yeah.
So it's just silence followed by for like 9 minutes.
It's laughable, isn't it?
I couldn't believe it. Like, this is how you're starting
That's
your
why it's
epic...
longer, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. Just so we can do shit like that. Yeah, one of the worst films I've ever seen. Nothing happens.
No.
Nothing happens, really.
Like, okay, one of the most apparent, this is what the film means by it's fixing the story, is there's more detail to Steppenwolf now.
Right.
I think his suit has more, like, moving bits on it.
Okay.
It's more elaborate, I guess. In the original film, Steppenwolf was just kind of generically evil. It's like, I want the 3 cubes because I want to destroy Earth. Mm-hmm. Get me the 3 cubes now. Mm-hmm. And that was the film. It's like, okay, he's a bad guy. In this film, he comes to Earth, he wants the 3 cubes. Mm-hmm. But you learn that the reason he's terraforming Earth is because he is in debt to a different alien species or person or whatever. And Earth is part of his debt. He has to terraform 1,000 worlds, and Earth is one of them.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so they're adding more backstory. They're giving him a motivation. Okay, what is that fixed? Because until the very end, where he's fighting the superheroes, we don't actually know if Steppenwolf even wants to do this.
No.
He doesn't seem to be regretting his actions, nor does he seem to relish in them. He's just kind of there.
And then there's one line toward the end that suggests he gets some kick out of it.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah, your sisters, like, begged as they died.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I guess you're into
I guess
it
you do enjoy this then. And the guy that he's answering to is a generically evil alien.
Yeah.
So
that looks a little bit different.
That looks a little bit different, yeah. So, like, Steppenwolf, we can't have Steppenwolf be generically evil, so let him be in debt to someone who's generically evil.
It's like replacing Snoke with Sidious, isn't
with
it?
Sidious, yeah. You haven't fixed the problem. You've just, like, moved it.
And made it bigger.
You've added more detail.
Yeah.
You've taken up more of my time, but we've ended up at exactly the same place.
Yeah. It's one of the worst films I've ever seen. It
Make
is,
that point again, Sam.
I want to, just for this point.
Okay.
It might be the worst ending to a film I've ever seen.
Endings. Let's not forget.
No, I'm talking about the dream in particular.
Well, that's not even the ending.
No, well, there's one scene after that, isn't
Okay, so this film has an epilogue.
Yeah.
Like, the final action scene will happen.
Epilogue.
Oh, yeah, this film is divided up into chapters, right?
6 chapters and an epilogue.
Yeah, so I think, like, you know, if you don't have the time or the energy to watch it in its entirety, you don't have to, because the film's divided up into chapters. It's like, well, no, don't watch it at all.
No, just don't do it.
Because it's weirdly structured, because this is a film, isn't it?
Is it?
This is a film.
Right.
It feels like a film, right?
Oh, God.
I'm not saying that in terms of, like, its quality.
It's cinema, yeah.
I'm talking about structurally. It feels like a film, right?
No.
No? I know that the chapter headings confuse it a little bit.
No, I know that.
But this is a superhero film that they've stretched to ungodly lengths.
Okay.
It's not a TV series. It doesn't have the structure of a TV series.
The only reason I say that is because, the thing that should happen at the end of Act 1 happens way too late in the film. Act 2 is, like, way shorter than it should be.
I mean, I think
Act 2 is probably the shortest act of the film.
Yeah, like Justice League 2017, because we have to make the distinction now, because they're two completely different entities.
Well, Zack Snyder's Justice
League. Because one isn't even canon. That was going to be the point as well. Like, it's weird that we're like, to validate our fans, everything is canon, and yet they're so quick to dismiss Joss Whedon's Justice League. It's like, oh, that one didn't happen.
Well, there seems to be a lot of people...
No, it happened. I watched it. You all paid money to see it. It happened.
Yeah, you made money out of it.
Yeah.
Would there been some allegations against him on set, haven't there? No, I don't think any sexual allegations, but just that he was, like, bad to work with or something.
Okay, well, he probably didn't want to be there.
No. Well, actually, hang on. I had a list of the people who had accused him.
Okay.
And I think it's basically just DC people.
Okay.
But it might be a few more. But I mean, yeah, a guy that has the kind of work schedule and ethic that he does, I can imagine he probably is difficult to work with.
Yeah. Or he was probably like, all right, I'll do Justice League, but we're going to do it my way. And they were like, no, you use what Zack Snyder said.
Yeah. So,
but he's a shit filmmaker.
I know.
I have to work with that.
Ray Fisher, so that's Cyborg.
Okay.
Charisma Carpenter and Michelle Trachtenberg, they were in Buffy. Jason Momoa, Amber Benson, and Gal Gadot.
Okay.
They complained publicly about his behaviour on set. Yeah, he's trying to polish a turd. It's a hard job.
Yes.
I don't know what the allegations are, to be fair, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ending.
Yeah, but that was my point. Yeah. Like, it's sort of... There is... Because there are 6 chapters to it, and because it's broken up that way... But it's not structured like a TV show.
No, it's not like, you can end an episode on that.
Yeah, it's not. It's just like, okay, now we'll put the chapter thing now, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's not arranged in a way where you could just watch, quote-unquote, an episode of Justice League.
Okay, the arc of the film, then, is none of them are together.
Yeah.
Then they get
for 3 hours. For 3 hours. Basically.
Then they get together.
Yeah.
They resurrect Superman.
Yeah.
He goes away. Then they all unite.
Yeah. Which is what Justice League, the other one did.
Right. Okay.
That's what it did. They were all not together.
But did it have elegiac songs for each character introduction?
I didn't do that.
Oh, well, there you go then.
That was funny. I don't know how... Oh, it was 53 minutes in.
Yeah, I was trying to remember that. What was it the Flash thing?
It was Aquaman.
That's right.
It was. He saved the guy on a boat.
Yeah.
And then he took the guy to the pub.
Yeah.
And he,
bought
a whiskey on his behalf. Well, from him.
Yeah.
He's paying for my whiskey.
Yeah.
And he walks out onto the pier. And it's 3 minutes of him walking into the ocean. And
taking his top off.
Yeah, drinking his alcohol and slamming
as
the
the foam washes around his
and
hair.
the water's swirling around him as this music's playing, and you turn to me and went, okay, now I officially hate this film.
Yeah. It was crap, but that's when I hated it.
Yeah.
I think there was a second thing. It might have been the Flash thing. It's right, that's the second flagpole that I'm going to plant. And then anything with Wonder Woman.
Yeah, basically. It became immensely irritating.
But the ending capped it off,
Yes, so this film is, like I said, it moves a bit like a superhero. It's long, but it moves like a superhero film.
Mm-hmm.
So you have ridiculously long Act 1, 5 minutes of Act 2.
Yeah,
and then
basically.
a massive action sequence at the end to cap off Act 3.
Yeah.
And then they have an epilogue where the characters are going back into their lives better and stronger. The Flash is, I guess, making something of his life. Cyborg has accepted who he is. Superman is alive again. And then, there's a moment where Superman walks towards the camera and tears open his shirt, and you see the Superman S. He's like, okay, that's the final shot of the film.
Yeah.
We checked the clock.
There was half hour left.
There was half hour left.
Yeah.
And that half hour is 3 separate epilogues. 3 what were clearly supposed to be post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
Shown back to back. The film has ended.
Arkham was first, right?
Yeah. So the first one is the actual post-credit scene from the original Justice League movie.
Okay.
Which has obviously been extended.
Yeah.
Because I think the cackling man that was in Lex Luthor's cell. I don't think that was a thing. I could be completely wrong though.
Yeah.
But so he, the guards go to get Lex Luthor out of his cage.
Mm-hmm.
They find out he's a decoy and that Lex Luthor has escaped. Mm-hmm. Cut to Lex Luthor on an extravagant yacht.
Mm-hmm.
Deathstroke is brought onto this yacht.
Mm-hmm.
And Lex Luthor's basically I hear you want to kill Batman. His true identity is Bruce Wayne. Have at it.
Mm-hmm.
And Deathstroke is I'm going to go kill Batman. So that post-credit scene happens.
Yeah.
There's a epic drone panning shot away from the boat where we see the harbour and the mountains around it. It's okay, that's the final shot of the film.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No.
It's most certainly not.
Yeah.
Do you want to take us through the dream sequence, Sam?
Well, very quickly before we do that, there were 2 little beats in the film that crystallised exactly what it was and how it just couldn't get anything right. It was either too late or too soon. The first was where they kind of set up that kind of swipe cut, basically. That's where the trolley goes across the screen.
Yes.
And it just cuts arbitrarily before it makes its
Yeah, because that's what you do. You have an object... Edgar Wright does this all the time.
Yeah.
You have a person or an object walk in front of the camera, and you use them as a transition into a new shot.
And especially for a comic book film, like a panel sort of thing, that works. That, and then the very, very ending, which we'll get to.
But it didn't happen. That's what the point we were making.
It didn't happen.
The trolley starts to go across the screen, but it cuts before it's even finished.
And then at the very end of the Martian Manhunter flies past the camera, and then it just stays for 3 more seconds for no fucking reason.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
You just can't get anything right.
No, you can't.
Right, the dream sequence. Yeah. Right, we cut to like a desert. And like clearly it's like post-apocalyptic. Yeah. It's like Mad Max sort of thing. Batman is kind of wearing a camouflage like sand coat. Yeah. With like a rifle. Yeah. But still wearing the bat regalia. And he's with...
Well, how would we know he's Batman?
Exactly. Yeah. He's with Amber Heard, whatever her character is called.
Yeah. And Cyborg.
And Flash.
But Flash has like he's got like a beard and his suit is completely different. And
Deathstroke. Who we've just met.
We've literally just met. Yeah. Because that's the point of Deathstroke being there, right? Is like, the last time we saw him, he was going to kill Batman, and now they're working together. Yeah. But that literally we have never seen this character before. Yeah. And now he's Batman's friend? At least, they have a mutual cause? He was just about to... That's what you were setting up. Yeah. The next film is going to be Deathstroke trying to kill Batman. And now they're just working together.
That can't have any meaning to us because... right, okay, good example, Lost. When we start getting the flash forward episodes and Saeed is a hitman and you find at the end of the episode he's working for Ben. Yeah. And that has meaning because you know how much those characters hate each other. Yes. Whereas in this, alright. Yeah. Fine, you've skipped the whole relationship.
You skipped film's worth of story.
Yeah. You know? And Joker is there as well.
Yes.
Oh man.
Jared Leto. Is this your first proper experience of Jared Leto's Joker?
I've seen him lying surrounded by the knives.
Although I will say, I say it's Jared Leto's Joker. Yeah. He's doing it completely differently.
So they first had him as like a kind of gangster.
Yeah, aesthetically.
He had like the grill.
He had like the fake teeth and he has like tattoos. Like there's that famous... across his forehead, he's got the word damaged. Yes. To completely eliminate any nuance or needs to delve into his character. They've just written damaged across his forehead.
He looked like a bit like Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah, exactly, Because, he was a gangster. That was their interpretation of this Joker. Now he's got, Jared Leto's long hair.
He looks like Marilyn Manson.
He looks like Marilyn Manson, All the tattoos are gone. Yeah. It's completely white makeup.
Smudged,
black eyeliner and lipstick. Also, it looks like Marilyn Manson. That was unfortunate timing, wasn't it?
Yeah. But he looks like 90s Manson.
Yeah. And he's they seem to have toned down the goofiness of Leto. Yeah. I think the idea... I was talking to someone ages ago. I was on a film set with somebody and we were talking about Jared Leto's Joker versus Heath Ledger's Joker. Because I think at the time Suicide Squad had just come out, so it was people were talking about it. It's okay, Sam. I wasn't voluntarily talking about superhero films with people. All right. It's okay. Okay. Please still have respect for me.
Okay, that's fine.
And this guy he said that he preferred Leto's Joker, and I was like, right, you have to explain yourself. Mm-hmm. And he said Leto's Joker feels like more of an animal. Right. Because he's a bit more goofy, I suppose, than Heath Ledger, but he seems like he kind of acts like a rabid animal. He's got a more unpredictable energy to him, which I like. So I don't know if that was the idea of Leto's Joker, that he was an animalistic Joker. Okay. If it was, that's completely gone in this version.
Oh yeah.
He's just it's like he's been sedated. Yeah. It's like someone talking. It's like someone has been injected with sedatives and drugs to keep them calm, but they're still kind of
sentient.
They're trying to talk through all these...
He's kind of talking like that.
Yeah, and just talking through the haze of drugs and all sorts.
It's creepy as fuck and in a bad way. It creeped me out.
It looks like they've gone... Because, Suicide Squad was its own disaster. Because that was a film that was just, I don't know if it could have been saved in post, but, a lot of the post-production made it seem worse. Mm-hmm. I think in that, Jared Leto... There were these weird green and purple distortions on screen whenever he was on screen. So I don't know whether this is just something they're trying to do in the DCEU in general, where they're Jared Leto's Joker has his own aesthetic when he's on screen. The film conduct itself differently when he's around to give him presence.
Okay.
And I think maybe that's what Zack Snyder was trying to do. Because Leto in this film, we barely see him. Because he's either being shot side on or out of focus. Like, the camera's staring right at him and he's completely out of focus. You can't see him.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like swaying and his eyes are like wide. And he's like, he's talking as if he's like barely conscious, but he's still making like points, and he's
and there's that moment where Batman says something and it just stays on his face. Like if you were trying to make a creepy horror film, that would like work. But I don't think that was quite their intent. I thought you were meant to be like unsettled.
Well,
I just thought it was like you're like a pervert or something. It's weird.
I mean, the point of that, the point of that was Zack Snyder was basically holding Warner Brothers hostage, wasn't he? He was basically saying, here's my entire roadmap for the DCEU if I'm given the reins again.
You try and convince the fans that this is not going to happen.
They could try and convince the fans that they don't want to see a post-apocalyptic film where Batman and the Joker team up.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it keeps hinting to all these, like, Aquaman might be dead.
Aquaman is dead. Yeah. I think Wonder Woman is dead.
Wonder Woman, like a she, a very prominent she is dead.
Which is bold. Like, if you're saying, like, there's going to be a film where we've killed Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Especially since
hypothetical, alternate, as the Joker points out.
Yes.
All these alternate universes.
Yeah, I think I said to you, I don't know how I feel about the Joker talking about alternate universes.
It is not right.
I mean, Batman, like, shooting gods is bizarre.
Yeah.
But the Joker talking about alternate universe. Like, if you want to like fuck with Batman, okay,
right.
Like he and Superman have their own relationship.
Yeah.
I'm willing to allow a certain degree of like fuckery when it comes to Batman.
Yeah,
but the Joker feels immune to that. He is completely his own thing.
Yeah,
you don't put the Joker up against Darkseid.
No, he's not yours to experiment with in that way.
No.
Like, there are limits on it.
He is his own thing. Like, he is not part of, like, the extended universe. The Joker... When the Joker is on screen, he hijacks the film, doesn't he? We're doing things my way. I am not playing second fiddle to anyone.
He's not part of a team.
No, he's not part of a team.
Squad. He wasn't even part of it, was he?
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is my film now.
Yeah.
I'm the Joker, I'm here, this is my film now.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna, like... help you fight Darkseid.
Yeah.
Or even work for Darkseid.
Which is, remember when our thing for when The Dark Knight Rises came out, like, had Heath Ledger been alive, the perfect thing would have been to set up these main villains, Bane and all that. They break him out of Arkham, and then he completely hijacks the third act.
Yeah.
Like, it's my movie
thank you
now.
for breaking me out.
You're dead. Yeah. You're dead. My film now. Yeah. Which would have been perfect, because you can't go higher than the Joker, can you? Anyway, it's creepy, and then it kind of alludes to the fact that he killed someone close to Batman.
Yeah.
But they have to work with Joker. And Batman's like, I promised I'd kill you, and I will fucking kill you. And that was the final nail in the coffin, like, oh, this just blows.
Yeah.
Like, the Wonder Woman thing was, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
But that was like, do you think that's big and clever?
Yeah.
That's what that was. Like, again, some 14-year-olds would go, oh my god,
Batman said fuck to the Joker.
Ridiculous.
And the Joker just laughed it off.
But it's not just saying fuck it, and I will fucking kill you. No. Crucially, no. Batman does not kill people.
That's the thing. He does in Zack Snyder's universe.
But that's not who Batman is.
It is now,
There are rulers,
Sam.
man.
It's now.
Okay.
So, it's framed as a dream. Because all of this happens. All of this very specific stuff.
Incredibly specific.
Happens.
Yeah.
Because that scene ends with, like, them talking about this vague nebulous threat. And you see Darkseid's ships in the sky.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, they're fighting Darkseid. And then they're like, he's here. We've been out in the open, just talking, but somehow they found us.
Yeah.
And Superman comes down, and he's very clearly evil now.
Yeah.
And Ben Affleck's Batman wakes up.
Yes.
It's like, oh, fuck. So it's just all a dream.
I think you said fuck you out loud.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But that's like, this is not just like a vague dream Batman's having. This is the future he's seeing.
Yeah, I mean, even for Zack Snyder, I'll credit it with, that was obviously supposed to be foreshadowing, foreboding for what's coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Although, thinking about it, that's a good get out, isn't it?
Oh,
when they don't make this film a dream. Genuinely.
It's a horrible dream.
That's why he made it a dream. That's the only reason. He could have just made it an epilogue, like it's in the future. But no, he did that so if he couldn't make another film, he could say, it was a dream.
Then again, because there's a scene in Batman vs Superman where Batman is in the future wearing that duster coat and he kills a bunch of people.
Right.
Which is alluded to very briefly in this film.
Okay.
He says to Wonder Woman, if I remember correctly, the Flash came from the future and told me that Lois Lane was the key to all this.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember, like, being in a coat or something like that. So I think that was the film's way of saying that, like, yeah, remember this because we're going to refer to it later.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. Like, that could be a good get out.
Yeah.
It's a dream. But you'd think, like, seeing an epilogue where like, Aquaman is dead, Wonder Woman is dead, Batman is teaming up with the Joker to fight Superman.
Yeah.
That's how you end a film, right? Wrong.
Yeah.
The film keeps going. Not only is the film over, but it's, like... That's the biggest, like, hint, right?
Yeah.
No. Batman's just, like, in a house on a lake now. And Mr. Martian, or whatever his name is, turns up.
Martian Manhunter.
Martian
But that's
Manhunter.
because of the way everything's so fucking dim in this film, that even when he wakes up, it looks like it might be vaguely post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
It's dark and it's like he's on his own. Where are you? What's going on? You know?
Yeah. But like, Martian Manhunter... Who we saw earlier in the film, there's the scene where, like, Martha Kent goes to visit Lois Lane and they're like, God, I miss Superman. Don't you miss Superman? Yeah, he was the tops. And like, Martha Kent walks out of the flat.
Too much
and we find out that Mr. Martian, I'm just going to call him Mr. Martian.
Okay.
That seems to roll off the tongue easier
than
Martian Manhunter. So Mr. Martian, we find out it was Mr. Martian in disguise.
Yes.
And he's like, I agree with you, Lois Lane. I miss Superman too, or something like that. I was like, no, like, Lois Lane, you be strong. The world needs you right now, or something like that. And he's just not in the film anymore. Yeah, it'd be nice if he showed up to kill Steppenwolf, who's in the process of terraforming the fucking planet. Yeah, he's just off doing something else. Yeah. But yeah, he just visits Batman at the end, and he's like, I saw what you did, Batman. That was mighty good of you. Yeah. If you ever need me, just give me a shout, all right? Yeah. And Ben Affleck's like, who are you?
It's so disinterested.
Yeah, it's not even like a shock. I mean, like, if you live in a world where Superman exists, I guess Mr. Martian isn't going to be too shocking.
I suppose, yeah.
Because, like, aliens that can fly, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like some guy was knocked on his door and was like, hi. Do you remember me? And he's like, I don't know who you are. What is this? Yeah. What is this, like, minor inconvenience? This alien showing up on my doorstep? But yeah, he's like, all right, just give me a shout if there's any evil. And Batman's like, yeah, all right. And then we have that epic, the shot that you referred to, that epic, like, panning out from the lake. You see the mountains surrounding the lake. You see the city off in the distance. Mr. Martian flies past the screen. Any other film, like, as soon as he flies past, hard cut to black, credits roll. Yeah. No, he just flies past, and then we just stay on that shot for like a few more seconds,
revealing nothing, seeing nothing.
Yeah,
just there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I did not like.
Nor did I.
I did not like Zack Snyder's Justice League.
No.
I feel like if anyone is on the fence about it, or if anyone is like not that interested in it, I can't imagine that they're gonna be willing to tolerate a 4-hour runtime, right?
No.
So it's not even as if, like, oh, this is a cautionary tale. If you were kind of interested in watching it, don't. Mm-hmm. Like, no, I feel like that running time rightfully should scare people away. Yeah. The only people who are going to watch this are the people who want to see it. Yeah. And for all of the Rotten Tomato reviews that were like, oh, I didn't like Justice League from 2017. I thought there was no way this film would be good. But it turns out that it was so well written and there wasn't a redundant frame in the film, which was an actual line from one of the reviews. There was not a redundant frame
in the film. As I think it was just Aquaman putting something in the back of a van.
Yeah.
You could have cut
it. It could have been redundant, yeah. Yeah, I don't believe those people exist. Those people who were like, I didn't like Justice League, but boy, was I wrong.
They got it basically like an Indian call center, essentially. Chinese sock puppets. Speaking of which, brief Sam's Lexicorner.
Oh, yay!
Yeah. I don't know, I've been trying to think of it as we've been going.
Okay.
So this is just a kind of maybe temporary, but maybe not. Okay. So, Sam's Lexicorner.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
We never ended an episode with a Sam's
No, we
Lexicorner.
haven't. We haven't.
Giving it the main event status it deserves.
Yeah. So if review bombing is, the negative equivalent of that process, I was thinking, like, what's the opposite of bombing? I get, like, planting flowers, but there's nothing kind of pithy that comes to that. So I'm going to go with review fluffing. Now, so fluffing up, but also a fluffer. Do you know what a fluffer is?
I know what a fluffer is.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
So we clarify.
I think I've revealed my credentials.
That's very true.
Multiple times in that.
Just in case someone in the audience doesn't know.
Yeah.
It's someone who keeps an adult film star aroused.
Yes.
Yeah, between takes.
I don't know if they're still a thing anymore. They were obviously a thing for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if Viagra has like made that position redundant.
I suppose so, yeah.
Or whether I don't know. Yeah, there might be like within the industry, Viagra might be like, oh, we don't use Viagra. We want to keep it all natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a big thing before, certainly before Viagra.
Yes.
Like you got to keep the men erect.
And the hot lights.
Yeah.
Review fluffing.
Samuel. Words. Phrases. Sam's Lexicorner.
All right.
So, well, we got nothing to carry. We got nothing to return to now.
I guess that's it.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
We're making no apologies from now on in terms of how long these podcasts go on for.
Absolutely.
If you're willing, and I know that I don't imagine that the people that listen to this podcast are the type of people that would sit through a 4-hour Justice League movie and like it.
No.
But if those people exist, we're going to make no apologies for doing like a 3-hour podcast.
Well, if those people, screw you, I don't want you as a listener.
Yeah.
It goes, fuck you.
Yeah, it's like, people tend to stop listening after an hour. You're wasting content. But the fucking 4 hours!
Yeah.
Of nothing happening.
Stephen Merchant on the XFM show saying, like, really, he hates Lord of the Rings and giving it a dressing down. And Ricky Gervais, like, we've lost a lot of popularity, you saying that.
Yeah.
I don't care, screw him. I don't want you as a listener. If you can't live without it, I don't want you as a listener.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I think about if you love the 4-hour Snyder cut, don't listen to us.
We are
not the podcast for you.
Like your theory going in, wasn't it? It was like, it's going to be 2 hours of just monotonous crap.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours of action.
Stuff
happening.
Yeah.
And it was kind of that.
Yeah.
There was like a little bit of action peppered in during the monotony.
Yeah.
But then it did just end with a lot of action. I like it when films mix the two.
Balance.
Yeah. Like, don't put all your monotony in the beginning and all your action at the end, because what ends up happening is the film just has one frequency throughout the entire thing. And I don't understand how he does it. I really don't understand how Zack Snyder can go from characters receiving prophecies to them in the midst of an action scene, to them dealing with the fallout of an action scene, to them having an exposition scene.
You're dead.
It's over. Yeah.
Oh, mate. Alright, go on. Oh, right. Right.
Have you seen Justice League? Oh my god.
We should almost end on this, really.
My only point was going to be something I can't remember.
That he kind of makes everything feel at the same level.
Yeah, I exposition, action scenes, like the fallout of action scenes, character stuff. That's all different, right?
Yeah.
That's all different stuff. So how does it all feel exactly the fucking same?
It's because none of it has any weight, I think.
Yeah.
Because you just don't care, and it all looks so kind of monochrome, and you detach from it, and it feels unreal.
Yeah.
So when things happen, it's indistinguishable from nothing happening.
And because he does everything in slow motion, your exposition and your frenetic action scenes, they're all moving at the same pace.
Right.
There's no distinction between the two.
And that's the thing. And you go from those moments of sheer monotony to like the guy telling the kids, shut the fuck up or we'll kill you all. Like, you have absolutely no sense of propriety or like scale, what's right.
Yeah.
You know? I feel we should just end with us doing that noise.
Yeah.
Right. Are you done?
Oh yeah, I'm so done.
Right, okay. We'll see you next time.
Okay.